was Caden Ward's day, man. He had some bike problems that last lap. Been riding really good here lately. Got the whole shot. Was putting an incredible pace up. Me and Brandon kind of got cut that dust wall, and but he was riding an incredible pace. Unfortunately, had some bike issues. Here he is. Check it out now. Check him out right there. That guy should have won the race today. But we were all riding really well. I got lucky with his mechanical. Me and Fraser both did, and keep the championship fight alive.
I'm still coughing, man. That was fun, man. I had a good time. I knew a third place start was good, but I knew it probably wasn't going to be good enough for today. The dust, I thought it was going to settle down, but it never did. Honestly, it got worse. This XC1 race is going to be nuts. I'm going to be completely honest. Like, we're going 40, 50 mile an hour through these woods, and we're bouncing off rocks. I mean, I'm following ahead most of the race. I'm not even looking at the track. I'm just trying to follow the guy in front of me, and I had a good race. I felt good. I felt like I could have definitely put in more of a charge, but just the dust wouldn't let me. So I felt good. We're happy with second. Still got the points lead. Still got 2 more rounds to go, and all we can do is hope for the best.
That first lap, I was just telling them, I was going maybe 5 miles an hour down the straightaways, and you couldn't see more than a foot by you. I went off the track twice, going about 5 miles an hour. I just couldn't see anything. All of a sudden, I knew it was a straightaway. I could see Brayton kind of in front of me. He turned a little bit, and I didn't know where exactly the turn was, and all of a sudden I was just running over logs and stuff. Like, oh, that's wrong. I had to put it in reverse, and then like a mile later, I did the same thing. It was just, I mean, that first lap, man, if you weren't up front or right on the guy second, like, I mean, there was nothing. I wanted to go fast, I just couldn't. It was just not possible, but it felt good after that, though. Once we all kind of spread out, I was able to catch up, make a couple passes, and then looks like Caden went into limp mode again right there on that last lap and got around him. I was going to pass a lapper. He kind of turned up into me, flipped me. I thought that was bad. My throttle twisted up, bars bent down, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to finish, but a couple spectators came out there and helped me twist everything back right, and I was able to get in. So I'll take it. Another podium. Felt a lot better this time, so ready to go to the next one and hopefully get a podium without having anybody break down.
I like the dust, honestly. Everybody asks me why I like the dust so much. You know, if you're keeping up with the person in front of you, you can see perfectly fine. You just got to be up there. So I love the dust. I don't know why other people don't like it, but I love it. It's a good race. Passed Andrea on the first lap and passed Kate on the second lap, and you know, took a tumble, but it's all good. We ended up with a win, and it's my first time ever winning at the Mountaineer, so I'm super excited. So.
Here we go, everybody, make some noise for them. Your 4x4 Pro class.
Gonna be a dusty one today.
Yeah, a little dry. I mean, it's wet here, so it must have rained right here, but everywhere else, no, dusty. Get a good start and drag your feet. Blow every berm possible.
Come on, Bill, sir, ride like a cowboy today.
Ride like a cowboy.
I have one bet that's on the line. If I get a whole shot today, Mike's gonna make me a homemade Philly cheesesteak pizza with some wings on the side. So that's the ticket right there.
Oh, that was pretty decent, but by God, we are honoring our first responders here this weekend. Let's do it for them. I know you know somebody out there that is a first responder in some capacity, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Second row number 1, the XC1 Pro. How about this? The 714 Rodney Rush out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania will grab the Canati Tires Whole Shot Award. Tyler Jones, Tanner Walker, and John Brada. here comes Walker Fowler. A little checkup from the neck up right there. Maybe a little
celebratory fist bump there.
Oh, boy, big mistake right there by Walker.
And the fans, they want it all. Walker Fowler has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Man, oh man. It still feels pretty good, right, Walker? Even 76 times. Oh, yeah. Rain showers here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer GNCC. A first for Ronnie Rush. Not the first for Walker Fowler of Bryceville. There it is. Look at that faking left. Going deep, Tom Brady style there for B. Neal. It keeps going and going and going and going. Walker's arm is going to be tired by the end of this. Reminded me of last weekend. Who won the jersey from Ronnie Rush? Flying crowd, make a little bit of noise for him. This is your XC2 podium from the Mountaineer GNCC. I do.
I was just trying to edge everybody out on the starting line, and man, that was hard, but kind of went in the woods as best I could. I knew those guys in the back were going to be coming hard. You know, that's just what they do back there. So just try to keep myself out of trouble up front, keep myself healthy, keep the bike on all four wheels, and I did that really well until right at the end. I almost tried to throw it away, and you know, I guess that's what you get for celebrating early. So sorry, good Lord, won't be doing that again. I'll wait until the final turn to do something cool. But yeah, just this is wild. You know, there is no more tie, there is no more question. There's one, and I get to say it's me, 76, winningest GNCC racer of all time for now. So can it be broken? It can. Will someone else do it? Probably. But at least for the moment, I get to say that I'm the best.
Oh man, that was a sketchy. I got a good start, third going to the woods, and man, I what do I even say, Mike? I just threw it away. I overshot a corner in the dust, just pushing a little bit too hard, too quick, too early. Got wedged between two trees, the whole class went by me, and wow, like I don't even. It's probably one of the hardest dust races I've ever had to come back through, and just happy to climb my way back at the second, because man, I ping-ponged off of so many things. I took so many chances. I lost my front brakes whenever I got by Brandon Owens. I hit a rock on my left side. I think I hit my hub nut or something on my left side, and I had to keep just pumping my front brakes the whole lap. I had arm pump, white knuckle, trying to just keep racing forward, and man, we was clicking off. We was feeling good. Front brakes came back. And then I got to Ronnie right on the last lap, got around him, and someone told me it was like 15 seconds, man. And we just put our head down, we just charged, got to the rear wheels of him. Man, the dust was gnarly. I smoked my rear brakes because I was going for it. Just riding my rear brakes like an idiot. Scorched them. They went out on me, and coming in right before we popped out, close to the end. Overshot a corner a little bit. The berm went a little bit too fast. Just tumble rolled it, flipped it on me, and then I guess I heard just Walker. He flipped it at the end of the pro row. So it would have been real close. But well, we're just super happy to get this bike to the finish line after that whole race we just had. I don't want to do that again. That was hard.
Man, we just felt good today. I was talking to Kyle before the race. He was like, let's get a whole shot today. You got one at Mason-Dixon when it was dusty, and I was like, that's a good idea. So I got a good jump. TDR bike started right up. Kenda tires pulled me out of the hole. Custom Axis shocks just handled them rocks like nothing, dude. But the fitness finally showed, man, and we got a little bit of good luck, and just rode a freaking smart-free race, no mistakes, and man, we made it happen. I'm so pumped right now. First one, and third. We got the third crossed off. We need a second and a first. 2 races to go.
Let's go. Good job.
Thanks, man.
Proud of you, man. GNCC on RacerTV.com returns today for ATVs, and it is Walker Fowler with his record-breaking 76th career win. Now sits alone atop the all-time wins list in both ATVs or on the bike side. A sensational race in store for us today. Championship hunt is brewing. Bryson Neal still in the driver's seat, but a charging Walker Fowler may not be denied in these last two rounds, and it all starts right here, right now on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go? GNCC Racing!
Good afternoon and welcome to round number 12 of the 2024 Progressive Grand National Cross Country Racing Series presented by Specialized. We are here at the historic Wiseco John Penton GNCC. And Johnny, hey, this race a little later in the year, but it doesn't matter. The story's still the same. It's either always extremely hot, extremely dusty, or it's extremely rainy and extremely muddy. And we had a hurricane that came up through the south and absolutely, I mean, this place is just, it is messy here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, the hurricane coming up from the south brought with it some rain, some wind. Yesterday here at the track was interesting, to say the least. And we've already got some racing action in today, and the course is starting to shape up. Looking at the radar, a little mixed bag of what may happen the rest of the day, but we do know it's going to be exciting action. And as you pointed out, never a shortage of drama here at the John Penton GNCC.
I mean, we'll take it, though. And we're coming off an absolutely incredible race where we saw Walker Fowler take a win. Not just any win, Johnny, his 76th. He now sits alone atop the all-time wins list, not just ATVs, but just all-time bikes or ATVs.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge achievement for him, and honestly, just a milestone that I think it'll be a while until we see anybody potentially come up and challenge that number. Obviously, Chris Borch is still out there racing. Yes. We talked about it even 2 weeks ago on the show. It's a mud race today. Anything could happen, so we say it could be a while, but it could only be 2 weeks, and then they could be tied back up at the top. But a great achievement for him there with the 76 wins, grabbing the win, and also making this championship hunt in our XC1 ATV class just a little bit closer. What was 51 points 2 rounds ago, now just 21. So a 30-point swing in the span of essentially 4 weeks, and things are getting exciting.
It is. I mean, you think about GNCC, hey, anything can happen. We throw out all those cliches all the time, but that's the reality of it. We had a situation where, okay, maybe Walker's not going to race. He ends up racing. Bryson Neal had a DNF that race, so the points gap, cinched up a little bit more. Then you go back to last week, he picks up a win. Bryson doesn't get the win. Now it's a little closer, and we just keep kind of repeating ourselves like, oh, Bryson's in control, and he is still in control. He still has a healthy points lead, but nonetheless, like we say, anything can happen. It's GNCC. If we have another scenario like that today, we have a very, very interesting last round of Ironman in a few weeks.
Absolutely. If you look at it from the standpoint of coming in from summer break with a 51-point lead with 4 rounds remaining, I mean, that's a healthy would be an understatement of a points lead. And people were starting to kind of do the yawn thing, like, oh, this one's over. Again, fast forward 2 rounds, and suddenly we've got a race on our hands. So I think it's interesting. I think it brings a lot of additional eyes to Racer TV and to GNCC Racing. It's looking like, depending on how today goes, our championship may, in fact, come down to Ironman, and we'll know here in just about 2 more hours.
Looking forward to it, and we got to show some love. Our buddy, Ronnie Rush, his first career overall podium. He led much of that race early on. Johnny, just a sensational ride, and I think one for the confidence side that Ronnie needed.
Absolutely. Ronnie Rush, all the guys we talked about prior to our last round, talking about how important the start was. He executed to perfection, was first into the woods, making dust, and led throughout much of the race, as we pointed out, being passed only by Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal, which, shout out to Bryson Neal. You want to talk about being in the driver's seat for this championship. He was the only rider that really charged up through the pack from way back, getting all the our way up to the number 2 spot, but only passing Ronnie Rush on the last lap of racing. So Ronnie put in a phenomenal ride, first ever GNCC podium. That's a huge milestone in that young man's career. So expect to see a little bit extra confidence out of him today as well. And then talking about show and love, our XC2 class, that one coming down to be a 2-horse battle for the championship between last round's winner Grayson Heller and also local hometown product Alex Tiemann.
That's it.
You know, I've heard a lot of guys say that Alex Tiemann maybe even a dark horse for an overall podium here at the John Penton, especially in these conditions. He's just phenomenal here. So Grayson Heller got a pretty healthy points lead right now, but Alex Tiemann looking to chop away at it for sure.
That's it, man. And maybe Tiemann goes out and shocks the world today, Johnny.
Absolutely. Well, we've hyped up a little bit here, but we've got a whole bunch of racing action coming your way on Racer TV Live. We're going to let Mikey Waynes head down to the starting area, do some 10-second calls, and we'll be back with all the live racing action right after this.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sort you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You got to pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Ah, yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom.
How's it going?
We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
It's bogging off the bottom. Let's take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call it a night.
All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized E-Turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready. And welcome to everybody watching at home on RacerTV.com as you join us here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. We just wrapped up with our national anthem, and at this time, we are ready to meet the starting row for the XC1 Pro class. Big John is... No, I see Jeremy Holbert. You fellers ready? Tu listo? That's you ready in Spanish, I think. I don't know. My Spanish is rusty. Okay, we are ready. So, without further ado, there's our word, Don Hampton. Ado. What does it mean? I don't know. I think it means almost ready, something like that. Your starting row for the XC1 Pro class. Riding to the line first, the number 1. Out of Bidwell, Ohio, aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, the Bidwell Bullet, Bryson Neal. Rolling to the line next, coming off a win, but not just any win, his 76th career win. The 723 out of Rogers, Ohio, on a WFR, GBC, and Fly Racing backed Yamaha, Walker Fowler. Rolling to the line next, the number 5 out of Akron, Ohio, aboard the Action Off-Road, GBC, and B&R Motorsports backed Yamaha, Josh Merritt. Rolling to the line next, the 621 out of Hillsboro, Ohio, on the Action Off-Road, GBC, and Hauser Racing backed Yamaha, Wyatt Wilkin. Up next, the 521 out of Waverly, West by God, Virginia, on a McGill Mafia Ober tires and Moose Racing backed Honda, the Gator, Adam McGill. Up next, the number 8 out of Elk Ridge, Maryland, on a B&R Motorsports, Kenda, and Fearless backed Yamaha, Stephen Harrell. Up next, the number 2 out of Newfield, New York, on a Fly Racing, Ithaca Recreation, and Hunter Hart Racing backed Yamaha, Hunter Hart. Up next, the 703 out of Petersburg, Indiana, on an Action Off-Road, Maxxis Fly Racing, and Lone Star backed Yamaha, Austin Abney. Up next, the number 9 out of Casca, Pennsylvania, on a JMR, GBC, Elka, and Moose Racing backed Honda, the Cobra, Jared McClure. Up next, the number 12 out of Sunbury, Pennsylvania, on the Action Off-Road, Amsoil, and CB Racing backed Yamaha, Chris Borich. Up next, the number 10 out of Acme, Pennsylvania, on an Action Off-Road and Pro Graphics backed Yamaha, Jay Shadron. Up next, the 712 out of Waxhaw, North Carolina, aboard the Phoenix Racing Yamaha, backed by Action Off-Road, John Galata Jr. And coming off his very first career XC1 podium, the 714 out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on the Bulletproof Doors, Kenda Tires, and Singe Graphics back to Yamaha, Ronnie Rush. And last but certainly not least, the 246 out of Walker, West Virginia, on the Moose Racing and Impact Solutions backed Yamaha, Brandon Owens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your starting row for the XC1 Pro Class here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC, as DJ Judd will exit the Monster Energy Activation Transport and hop into the Yamaha R-Max 1000. Throws on a seatbelt and a sparkle helmet. That's always my favorite part. Safety first. At least top 5. I'm kidding. Safety always first. That's a terrible joke. And this is where we like to say, DJ Judd, remove the meat. Everybody's favorite saying of the weekend. I see you in the comments section. Wink, wink. I know you love it, baby. We are ready to race. Walker Fowler coming off win number 76. Now sits atop the all-time wins list. Bryson Neal still with a healthy lead as far as the point standing is concerned, but my goodness, this is GNCC Racing, and as we know, anything can happen. Here we go. Ricky Towery now steps forward and lets our riders know 1 minute. 1 minute until we're ready to go. Wiseco John Penton GNCC Racing. Ricky steps back, takes a big deep breath. And there it is. Blue flag waves, blue flag flag waves. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down. As we are just about ready to roll now, and I got to ask you, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Oh, that's pretty good, but it is you who braved the weather. It is you who braved the mud. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds for row number 1, the XC1 Pro. Bang, and they're off. A Canati Tires Whole Shot Award up for grabs as our leaders jockey for position. Walker Fowler, no. Bryson Neal, the number 1, will take it. Fowler and Jay Shadron following behind in second and third as we turn our attention now to the XC2 Pro-Am class of B&R Motorsports. Whole Shot Award up for grabs. 10 seconds. Alex Tiemann, Keaton Henderson, Jeremy Ladon, Dalton Keys, Christopher Howard, Braxton Gross, Kenny Schick, Alex Elioff, Brady Myers, Chase Allison, Dylan Walraven, Chris McNollan, and whole shot going to go to the 2-2-3. Braxton Gross out of Ramona, California on that Fly Racing and Works Racing back ride. Oh, a tough start for our points leader, Grayson Eller. 10 seconds. Junior A, 19+. Corey Vandelander, David Machisco, Colton Kushta, Ryan Hendershot, Briggs Lazelle, Connor Brandt, Jason Rude, Nathan Cox, David Witt, Trace Furby, Wesley Wirtz, Zach Knight, Christopher Kirby grabbing a whole shot. Looks like the 2-1-2. Connor Brandt out of Rogers, Ohio on a B&R Motorsports and GBC back ride. One rider down just after the whole shot. Keep your eyes on the signal of Ricky Towery. Our rider up and rolling. Here we go. 10 seconds. College A, 16-18. Aiden Jones, Parker Henderson, Evan Osborne, Andre Williams, Jeremiah Wolf, Talon Stout, Nicholas Deering, Levi Strahler, Jordan Berg, and Dayton Hickey. Slip sliding through turn number 1, 3, 4, 1. That is going to be Jeremiah Wolf out of Medina, Ohio. Getting it done early in the home state, and I don't know if you can tell on Racer TV. Here come the sprinkles, baby. Let's do it. 10 seconds. Senior A, 40+. Dirk DeCerci, Todd Muscala, the Marlboro Man. Papa P, Jeff Pickens, Brian Foltz, Zachary Phillips, Chris Conklin, and Derek Hart. Round turn number 1 we go. And that is Papa P. Jeff Pickens out of Shamokin, Pennsylvania on that Fly Racing and Waynesburg Yamaha back ride. Getting it done early. Vet A, 28+. 10 seconds. Tyler Griffith, Henry Moore, Nick Davidson, and Tom Coons. Bang, they're off. 2-2-8, Nick Davidson out of Ohio with a good drive out in front. Ooh, Rubbins racing. And he'll hang on to the early lead. Putting those GBC tires to good use. Tires going to be a big discussion today. Biggins, little uns, tweeners, what do you got? Here we go. 10 seconds. Junior B, 19+. Michael Worth, Corey Teeter, Corey Zeck, Gavin Temple, Zachary DeNoble, Joey Schauner, Joey Stewart, Adam Zafel, Chris Sloan, Tyler Rumpke, Easton Snyder, and Edward. Let's see. Oh, man, that was too close to call, but it looked like the 7-1-2 Zek grabbing that whole shot, an early lead. May have to go to the tape on that one. I like it. Good racing early. Ready to roll. 10 seconds. Bang, and they're off. 4-2-2 of Triple Exo out in front. College B, 16-18. Grabbing the whole shot, and oh, mercy. Took his lunch money. Evan Ruckel making the grown man move out of Morgantown, West Virginia on that Outlaw Motorsports back ride. Stealing a whole shot. Love to see it. 10 seconds, Senior B 40 plus, Ricky Lewis, Ben Dunlap, Joe Dehart, Forrest Cross, Aaron Delancey, Kenny Rich, and Steve Kiggins. That's Ricky Lewis at 3:57 out of Canova, West Virginia, out in front. Can he hang on to it? No, it's going to be Ben Dunlap. The 383 out of Greenville, Pennsylvania, on that Benny D's on and off-road machine. 10 seconds. Vet B 28 plus, Clayton Kawasaki, Tanner Dovsick, Belford Spurgeon, Clint Watson, Michael Brown, Eric Murphy, Christopher Streebing, Logan Lane, Kevin Simmons, Tyler Miller, William Barger, Zach Bothwell, J.D. Higgins, and Amy Dunlap. 868, that is Amy Dunlap on cue out of Greenville, Pennsylvania. Grabbing the whole shot and early lead. Looks like we have got a free and clear start line. And now turn number 2, also free and clear. We are off and rolling here at the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. We've had all the rain coming into today. We've had some rain off and on today. What's it going to look like 2 hours from now? Only time will tell us. We'll take a short commercial break, get in a word from our sponsors, and be right back with more from the Wiseco John Penton GNCC.
You know, when I take the bike out like this, all my stresses just melt away.
I hear that. This bad boy can fix anything.
Yep, tough day at work. Nice cruiser sorts you right out.
When I'm riding, I'm not even thinking about my painful cavity.
Oh, you shouldn't ignore that.
And every time I get stressed about having to pay my bills, I just hop on the bike, man.
Oh, come on, man. You gotta pay your bills.
You don't have to worry about anything when you're protected by America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
Well, you definitely do. Those things aren't related, so...
Ah, yee! Oh, that is a vibrating pain.
Every generation believes they've invented the best way. With age comes wisdom. We've come to realize that every piece of knowledge is learned, passed down from those generous and patient enough to teach.
Take a look.
Legacy. It's not about leaving something behind to be remembered by. It's realizing that the future lies within the next generation.
Let's call tonight. All right.
The nature of true progress is humbly building something bigger than yourself. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. This is our legacy.
Whatever you drive, however you drive. AMSOIL specially engineers lubricants to maximize power, performance, and protection in your vehicles, so you can work hard and play hard with confidence. Order online at amsoil.com.
Progressive GNCC Racing is brought to you by Progressive. Progressive could save you hundreds of dollars on your automobile and motorcycle insurance. Specialized e-turbo bicycles. It's you, only faster. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Hello, everyone on Racer TV, and welcome back to the 2024 Wiseco John Penton GNCC. We are here in beautiful Millfield, Ohio for round number 12 of the Grand National Cross Country Series. My name is Jackson Burrell, and I'm going to be alongside Zach Heron, along with Johnny G, to bring you today's action. Zach, it's good to be back GNCC racing in Ohio.
Man, I couldn't have said it any better, Jackson. It is great to be back, and of course, we've got a typical John Penton. We've got some crazy conditions. We've got crazy fans, and I'm expecting crazy racing as well. And we got to talk about how things got kicked off. Talk about some crazy action. We'll get to it here in just a moment. But yeah, that specialized start recap really going to be fun to watch, as right now we're enjoying the fans having a good time. A little bit of mud flea action there at the FMF PowerPoint, as now we take a look at that specialized start recap. Starting with our XC1 Pro, we talk about start always being important, but on a day like today, in conditions like this, I cannot stress how beneficial it'll be to start up front. Man, look at that execution from Bryson Neal. Nobody even touched him, slid up the inside, and boom, there it is. He's got the whole shot. You see those red boots riding off into the distance. A little bit of shuffling there. Couldn't tell. That might be Fowler or Hart in that second spot. Fowler looking like shuffling into the number 2 spot. As we move to the XC2 Pro-Am class, watch this headed into turn number 1. Everybody pushing as hard as they can. Grayson Eller going for a ride, and that is your points leader, Jackson. Now, he does get back up and make his way back into the race, but talk about not wanting to start things off like that. Eller got his work cut out for him here in the XC2 class.
Yeah, you know Eller has to be hurting a little bit after that one, man. The handlebars coming right down on the center of his chest there. I know that had to knock the wind out of him at the very least, but now on screen we see the big number 1, the Bidwell Bullet. He's going to be leading the way, and look at that. Just what we wanted to see, Walker Fowler in the number 2 spot.
How about that? A little bit of company. Looks like that J-Shad. Welcome back to racing. And last year's winner, the Gator, Adam McGill. He's feeling feisty up front. Possibly Austin Abney. Yep, just behind him. So we welcome Johnny G into the booth. Johnny, were you down there in person for the starts? Did you get to see that?
I was. I got to see the starts. I got to see a little bit of action the first couple miles. And I got to tell you guys, we're talking about the crazy conditions. Folks, the parking here, treacherous. It's very difficult to get in, get parked, especially in these big rigs. Yesterday we had winds, we had rain, we had crazy conditions. Today, I can't believe I'm going to say this, we have a near perfect racetrack. And this is not like me trying to pump this up. Folks, look at your camera shots. These guys are not getting muddy. They're not throwing roost. This is like perfectly watered and manicured dirt. There you see leader on screen, left side of your screen, Bryson Neal on the big number 1 Phoenix Racing Yamaha out front, and he is pushing the pace. But the 723 of Walker Fowler, keep in mind, folks, if you're watching at home, you're a casual observer, you're not invested in GNCC so far, what you're seeing on screen is effectively a battle for our 2024 overall GNCC championship between these two riders. 21 points separating them, 30 points up for grabs here today. They are starting to distance themselves. Looks like, I believe that was the high-vis helmet of Adam McGill, who's worked his way up into the number 3 spot, gotten around Jay Shadron there. Shadron early on in the number 3 spot. Had a good start, was actually up in a second, and then Walker Fowler getting pretty feisty with him there, taking away the inside, knowing that he did not want to let the big number 1 of Bryson Neal get away. So that's the battle you're watching on screen. But again, conditions, swear to you guys, if you're not here, talk to somebody that was. The track conditions literally could not be more perfect. There's grip in the track now. I will say, if it continues to rain, even lightly like it is right now, it's going to start to get really slick.
And you hit the nail on the head with that. That's what I was just about to talk about. Things are kind of packed down, and even talking to some of our AM and youth riders, surprisingly enough, that's what they said. Hey, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Actually, a little bit more traction than we thought. But even in some of the spots where they go through water crossings, they said that they could feel just how much. Once you throw water on that hard pack stuff, you're slipping and sliding. We saw 2 riders right by the finish line take out almost all of the banners. Wheels were turned, 4-wheelers still going straight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is kind of the story of the clay here in this part of Ohio. Man, it's honestly, when it's super dry, it's very slick. When it gets water on top of it and it's hard pack, it's very slick. But right now, we're kind of in the sweet spot where there's a lot of grip. Now, again, as we start to see this rain falling, will we see more grip? Will we see less grip? One thing that I did not expect, I don't really think like these guys getting muddy, multiple goggle changes, all that kind of stuff, not really going to be a factor, at least as it is right now.
Here you see on your screen your Yamaha Racing race format. 11.2 miles for this track in a 2-hour-long race. Obviously, our XC1 Pro all the way up to a 450C for both of those classes, but a Pro-Am there for the XC2. And at the top of the field, what better way could we shape this up than the two guys battling for the title, running 1 and 2 right now, Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler. How they run on track is how they run in the points. Walker's trying to chase him down. We see our past winners, both Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, experiencing success here within the last 5 years. Obviously, the Gator, Adam McGill, grabbing what he said earlier was his first win on the property last year in 2023 and running inside that top 3 as well. So excited to see the speed that all 3 of these riders are going to have over the next few hours.
Yeah, and each one of these riders has a little bit of a claim to call this there, and I'm going to air quote it, and you can't see it at home. Home track. Adam McGill, obviously a West Virginia native, but lives very close to here. Not at all a far drive to come over here. Also, a little bit extra history for Adam McGill here. His first ever overall podium here came when he was still racing in that Pro-Am class. He actually had to leave directly from the podium and go to his senior prom. So that's how many years ago. I think he's 42 now. Just kidding. He's not actually that old. But it was a number of years ago, but Adam surely has some great memories here on this property, including a win in 2023. Bryson Neal, man, there was a period of time, as you can see by those win stats, where he was virtually unbeatable here. We did used to hold many years. We held 2 races here on this property. He won both. Then again, a little bit further back, Walker Fowler, an Ohio boy. Again, Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, both Ohio natives. They both considered this a home race and battled it out, just like we're seeing on screen. Only this time, there's a championship, a big #1 plate that looms large.
Like you said, a lot on the line. And we talk about kind of the home track advantage. When both of these riders are feeling they've got the home track advantage, does the advantage kind of go away? Everybody's feeling the same amount of fight and the same amount of encouragement from the local crowd?
Like I said, I would actually throw Adam McGill's hat in the ring here as well. I think he considers this a home track. So all 3 of your top 3 right now kind of considering this a home track. And in their own mind, I think they each feel like they have the most fans here. They feel like they have the advantage. Obviously, we know in reality, somebody's got to have the most and somebody's got to have the advantage, but sometimes it only matters of perception. And each of these guys feeling comfortable today, showing it, getting up front, and setting a pretty quick pace early. We can start to see Bryson Neal starting to stretch it out just a little bit over the 7:23 of Fowler, and we'll see if McGill is able to match that pace and start to close the gap, or will these front 2, or even Bryson Neal by himself, start to stretch it out.
I still can't believe Gator had a date to prom. All jokes, Adam. He can fight with me after the race, and I want to see him back on the top step because you want to talk about a crowd favorite. I don't know about the numbers, but they get loud for the Gator, and he was talking about it earlier. He wants it louder and bigger and better, and he's getting a good start to try to do just that right now. But it's going to be he's going to have his work cut out for him. With these 2 up front setting the pace early, it is going to be difficult for Gator to try to track them down as we lose sight of them for just a minute. Really starting to see the leaves on the trees. Everything's honestly turning into fall now at this point. But nonetheless, we do know that top 3 running strong. Thought I saw Shadron there. Saw the headlights making their way through the woods.
Always can identify him very quickly. But we've got a little bit of track preview here from OPAG with his GoPro chest mount. He's out there. Now, this was obviously before the rain came, a little heavier, but you can see leaf covered, a lot of exposed tree roots. So this is a dynamic racetrack. A lot of challenges thrown at the riders on what is seemingly a pretty simple layout.
And there we go. On screen, we see McGill making his way through the mile 8 mark. And, guys, we talk about the championship as we see Abney now making his way through. Who was that just ahead of him, Johnny?
That was Jay Shadron with the headlights. Always a telltale sign. Then just behind them, looked like it could have been Chris Borch or possibly Josh Merritt. It was hard to tell. That's Ronnie Rush. That was Jared McClure. That was Wyatt Wilkin. And that was Hunter Hart. That looked to be Borch there, so I'm guessing there's John Glauda Jr., there's Josh Merritt, and there is Stephen Harrell. So those were the last 2 into the woods I did see. We're showing it mile marker 8. Those guys kind of still clogged up at the back of the pack there. The last 2 into the woods looked like they connected. No crash, but Josh Merritt and Stephen Harrell kind of wedged side by side going into about turn number 4 there as they entered the woods.
Now, one name that I didn't see, and I was trying to see if I saw the hair flying underneath, where's Wyatt Wilkin at?
Wilkin was in there. He was a little back of middle of the pack.
Okay.
And that is another rider. I mean, guys, we sound like a broken record here. Home field advantage. I actually told Wyatt on the starting line, this was the first place back when he was in XC2 that he really kind of popped up on my radar as like, who is this guy? He's going really fast. He's very comfortable here, and I expect to see with a lot of home state fans, a little bit extra enthusiasm in his step today, especially wanting to make up for, getting his first win 2 rounds ago, and then unfortunately backing that up with a DNF 2 weeks ago. You know that he's going to want to come out here swinging, at least get himself in the mix for a battle for a top 5 or a podium by the end of the day for sure.
Wyatt Wilkin always just kind of the light of positivity, right? Walking around always got the smile on his face, and looking like that might be Braxton Gross, our XC2 leader. I don't know if I actually said it earlier, but Braxton Gross did get that XC2 hole shot. He's got $100 waiting from B&R Motorsports, and looks like he's making the most of it right now. Look at this. It's quiet all behind him.
Yeah, this is a rider that has a ton of raw speed, coming and visiting from the West Coast. In second place there, looks like it may have been Chase Allison. There's Dylan Walraven, and that looked to be Alex Tiemann there in the number 4 spot. So that is the other championship contender. Braxton Gross, I believe, I'd have to do the math, but I think has been eliminated. Oh, there's Chase Allison, so I don't know who that was out front, actually. And as we look, there's Alex Elioff coming through, his wife wrapping up that XC1 title in our morning race this morning. There's Chance Hickey, and there is Grayson Eller. So we saw earlier that was Alex Tiemann coming through. He sits second in the points in that XC2 championship battle, a little bit closer even than the battle in our XC1. So that is, looming large between those guys. They're going to try and settle that thing today, but I have a feeling that that championship almost certainly will go down to Ironman unless one of those guys has a really bad day here today.
Yeah, looking at the points, just about 10 points separating the two of them. So a pretty close points battle there in the XC2 class. So all the more sense of urgency from the 171 of Eller, who's been very strong off the start, even if he's not inside not number 1, he's inside the top 3 or 5. But yeah, upside down underneath the quad is not the way to want to start the race. Johnny, not sure if you've ever had any experience like that, but if you're Grayson Eller, what are you telling yourself there in those next few straightaways to try to re-lock in and focus ahead?
Well, that really can go one of two ways. It can give you a shot of adrenaline, can really kind of push you, and suddenly you can just go right from 0 to wide open. You feel great. You're just blowing guys' doors off. You're going by them, and next thing you know, you're up front battling for the lead or up in a top position. But it can also cause you to kind of pump up, ride tight, too much sense of urgency. Next thing you know, you're making mistakes that compound the early mistake, which in that case, it didn't even really look to be his fault. Looked like he and actually his good buddy Kenny Schick got together there coming into turn 1. Just a racing incident. They both were wanting the same line, and next thing you know, Grayson's up on 2 wheels and over. So it's one of those things, guys, where it's kind of what you make of it. Obviously, you do not want to be upside down in the first turn, but I think Grayson's shown a lot of poise, a lot of confidence these last couple of rounds, winning both of our first 2 rounds since we've come back from our summer break. And with a 10-point lead, he's gotten himself in a position where he's probably just going to try to get up front as quick as he can and try to keep himself close to Alex Tiemann if he can. But I expect Tiemann to be very fast today. And looking like Walker Fowler put in a little bit of a charge, got closer to Bryson Neal. Notice some of these sections, though, was near a pass for the lead. Obviously, you don't want to be too close, and Walker Fowler looking like certain sections of the track, he's trying to push the pace, get up close to Bryson Neal. Certain sections looking like he's hanging a little back, so he's not getting roosted. There's the Gator there in the number 3 spot. Again, a lot of McGill Billies here this weekend. A lot of fans for Adam McGill pushing on the number 521 machine along, and they want to see him up there on the box today.
Now, one of the things that we heard a lot about in that Monster Energy pre-race report was tire selection. Looks like a battle. Abney
and Brandon Owens. That was the rider that I wasn't sure who that was. It is Brandon Owens. Keep forgetting he has jumped up. There is your last race podium finisher, Ronnie Rush. Then it's Jared McClure. Then it's Wyatt Wilkin. Then it's Hunter Hart. And then as we look back from there, it is Chris Borich, then John Glaude Jr., then Josh Merritt, and again, Stephen Harrell. So Merritt and Harrell, again, kind of locking up with each other going into the woods, and now they're back there. But the guys in front of them are setting a good pace, as we can see just about that entire XC1 class, virtually wheel to wheel. Now, switch to the other side of the Monster Mile. There goes your leaders again, flying in formation, pretty much wheel to wheel, as our good buddy Bjorn used to say. Here they are, Bryson Neal leading the way, Walker Fowler there in second, and now here comes the Gator up into the number 3 spot.
So we were talking about the pre-race report tire selection. Obviously, a lot of people talking about it. Some people saying they didn't think they needed to run with bigs depending on the weather. Like you mentioned, it is kind of sprinkling off and on. Looks like that has the potential to do that for the entirety of the race. What did you hear some of these riders did? What was the game time decision, and what were you seeing on that line?
Well, we love to hype up the tire thing, and even last race with the filter changes, we get, that's our job here. We hype that up. Guys, I am very sad to report, pretty blasé day today. Everybody on the smalls, 100% the right decision. Anybody that wasn't on the smalls is going to be paying for it in this race. I did not check every machine on the XC1 and XC2 line, but the only reason to run the big tires is it really allows you to get through sections when they get deep. The base here is so hard, this Ohio clay. It's been baking in the sun. It's been dry, and if I said dry 55 more times, still wouldn't be enough. It's been incredibly dry here, so the base is so hard. Just the slick on top, the big tires just don't give you any advantage. There's Braxton Gross. That is your XC2 leader at the 9-mile marker. Actually, this is, I believe, this is the 9-mile marker. And then the other side now in the number 2 spot. Let's see if we can figure out. Oh, that's Jeremy Ladon in the number 2 spot. Then it's Dylan Walraven, and then it's Alex Tiemann there. Look at this. We got a pass for the second place position, and actually Ladon getting hung up there momentarily, dropping back to the number 4 spot. So Tiemann up to 3rd, and then it's Chase Allison. Got some more riders working there. There's Chance Hickey, and there is the 171 of Grayson Aller just as we left that shot. So he is almost in sight of Alex Tiemann, but look at this. The battle out front for the number 1 spot. Overall and in that XC1 class, guys, they are wheel to wheel on screen.
Man, you couldn't ask for anything better than this as they head back off into the woods. You saw that, Jackson. They were pushing the pace slideways, as I like to say, headed out of that corner, wide open. And look at this, almost side by side. Really seeing a lot of creativity from Walker Fowler, not following unless he has to. And could it work out for him? Oh, man, that
is close.
Yeah. And to your point, we talked about Johnny. You said kind of getting closing in on him and then letting him go a few bike lengths and then closing back in on him. It looks like at this point he doesn't want to do that anymore. He wants to be in front of him.
I think what he's doing is he's taking his opportunity, like you said, to try to get to the front. If he can't, he's not going to want to sit there in that roost zone, take the roost to the goggles, take the roost to the radiator, run a chance of overheating the bike, trash the goggles. So I think he's kind of metering his opportunities to make an attack here. But right now, Bryson Neal has a counter for every move that Walker Fowler throws. And I got to tell you guys, coming into this season, there was a lot of speculation about what would happen if a healthy Walker Fowler and a full-out Bryson Neal hooked up, and we were talking about would we see these big gaps. The gap we saw at Florida was absolutely insane. I believe it was over 6 minutes back to 3rd place. But I got to give a shout-out to Adam McGill and the rest of these guys, but Adam McGill seemingly matching the pace right now, so I don't know, truthfully, are we seeing an all-out sprint from these guys, or are they kind of testing each other? But shout-out, big props to Adam McGill, the Gator, throwing down a great pace there in the number 3 spot, trying to actually close the gap up on those front 2.
The fans are going to love it for sure. Taking a look now, going to explore back, see whether or not, believe
it is still Jay Shadron there. And then looks like it's Brandon Owens. It is Brandon Owens. Oh, throwing the goggles there. And then just behind him, looks like McClure has actually made a couple passes, made up a couple spots there. See Hunter Hart charging there. You can always see with the water pack in the back. These guys should have just a couple more sections, and we should see them popping out here for what will be 1 lap of racing action complete. And we will see just what the lap time is, and we can start doing some calculations on just how many laps we're going to run here today. Morning race, I believe, 4 laps, I believe it was, for 2 hours. So we're kind of sort of expecting similar. They've added a few small sections for the afternoon. I know they're running a creek section that the morning did not, but there are your top 2 through, checked in, and out of the scoring chicane, and then we see the very bright helmet of Adam McGill in the background there popping into the finish line chicanes.
So in and out comes Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, headed around. Cool little section. You see all the campers and RVs set up there with a front row view of their favorite riders making their way through, and just like that, they disappear back into the woods. We'll wait to see whether we catch a glimpse of McGill right there. But I think this is impressive here, Jackson, for Adam McGill. We talk about, I feel like he's a momentum type guy. If he gets the good start, he's able to make something happen. If he doesn't, not sure if he's able to really pick his way through the pack. But right now, he's up front, and this guy knows how to play defense. It's going to be tough for anybody to move into that 3rd place spot.
Yeah, no doubt, and he has that confidence going in from last year. He wants it bad. A lot of fans out here, like we've been talking about for him. But, Zach, as we watch our top 2 riders, Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal, go at it, I can't help but to reminisce back on round 10. I really feel like that was probably the most pivotal point of the season. Going into that round number 10, Fowler wasn't racing at all. Bryson Neal, he was the man to beat. Bryson not in the top 20 there at round number 10. Walker Fowler able to step away with a 2nd place at round number 10. That is what's changed all this around. That is why we see this points battle going down to the line.
Yeah, and like you said, Jackson, and what happens in the span of an hour or so when we delayed that race, and it just goes to show how each opportunity pays off. And Walker Fowler, he felt that he had that calling, right? And it's so funny, we had all the interviews saying, oh, it's smart not to ride. It's the wise decision. I don't know. I think a new interview right now would say I did the wise thing. I lined up and I made the most of it because, like we said, he's not just out there racing. He is back in this title fight with anything possible in these final 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of those things. It was really kind of a gut check moment for him. I can't say that I ever believed him when he said, it might be the I don't don't know that smart is the word for it, the conservative way. And racers are not conservative people, man. I mean, you live your life wide open, and you have an opportunity. There's still a championship to battle for, and we're seeing that right now, regardless of how this pans out. I mean, I don't think there's any speculation. He's said multiple times that was the right decision. Went to the line, pushed it, ended up getting a second comeback, win the next race, and a 30-point swing in 2 rounds. Now, again, we talked about it in the pre-show, guys. Still, 21-point lead for Bryson Neal. We're not trying to hype this thing needlessly. If Bryson Neal can go out and grab a win today, that puts him in a very good position. At best, if Walker Fowler finishes second, that would mean he would carry a 26-point lead into the final round of racing with only 30 points available. That said, this is why we run the races, and the fact that these two are battling it out just shows how much both this championship means to both of these guys. Bryson Neal stepping up after the last race and being asked the questions. I think, you guys asked him, like, hey, what do you think? Like, are you concerned at all? And he said, nope, we're just going to keep doing the same thing. And that's the sign of maturity, and it really shows he's just very comfortable where he's at with himself and his team right now.
Well, and it seems like both of these riders, their primary concern is themselves, right? They both feel that if they do what they need to do, is right now you take a look at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC points breakdown. Bryson Neal, like we said, out front, 277 points with Walker Fowler, 256. Josh Merritt and Wyatt Wilkin, they're in their own battle for that final spot in the top 3. But like we said, both Walker and Bryson, when you talk to them, they say, hey, I want to focus on what I can do, get the best out of myself, and let the pieces fall where they may. So definitely very, very cool to see both of them. While they are, I'm sure, concerned with one another, it's not like that's all they're focused on. So like we talked about, Josh Merritt and Wyatt Wilkin, they said, my primary concern, beat the other guy. Obviously very good friends off of the track as well, but on track, it's war out there. Adam McGill back there in the 5th place spot as well. He's trying to make something happen with a solid result here today.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that are want a piece of that top 5, want a piece of the top 3. We know that, Jackson, you've interviewed these guys after the races. Josh Merritt, Wyatt Wilkin, each grabbing their first win of their careers here this year. And now look at how close they are battling over that final podium position. And this means a lot to these guys. I mean, it's more than just a 3rd place. I mean, it's saying, like, hey, these are some of the best guys out there, and I'm up in there absolutely battling with them. And, these are 2 younger guys in the class that haven't been here as long, and right now they're ahead of some serious veterans like Adam McGill, Chris Borch, Jared McClure, Hunter Hart. Everybody wanting to get themselves as high up as they can, and with only 2 rounds of racing, it's starting to be gut check time.
Yeah, and it's so cool to see the emotion from Josh Merritt and Wyatt Wilkin. But speaking of emotion with him, Wyatt Wilkin just completely bummed about that last race. That definitely put him down in the points, and he was not. I mean, he was just as emotional about not being able to finish that race as he was about winning some of those races. So I've got my eye on Wyatt Wilkin here today. After that last race, I feel like he's going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I absolutely think you're right. I think he's going to be pushing. Not a great start for him, so he's got a lot of work to do to get up in the mix. But nonetheless, I think we got to reference the fact we had a great interview with his crew for very unfortunate circumstances, and it's been the talk of the town for the last 2 weeks, folks. Shark7 is his crew chief's name, also happens to be his father. So I've heard through the grapevine some folks have started to dub Wyatt Wilkin Baby Shark. So maybe there's a baby shark in the water. Maybe he's going to be, trying to get up there and feast on those riders in front of him. Just little baby bites, because he's just a baby shark. But yeah, baby shark sitting back there, right inside the top 10. But you're exactly right. He's going to want to get up in there, get in the mix, battle over a podium position, and potentially put himself in position to try to win another race here in 2024.
Well, he's got one more chance after this.
Oh, that's an interesting line. Yeah, we can't do that. But
he's back off and going.
All right. All right. Yep. Not one of our front runners, folks, but nonetheless, that's he struggled with that. Now, okay, guys, one thing worth mentioning here. I don't know if either of you have ever been down and inspected this Monster Mile section, but that's not dirt or ground you're looking at there. That is some moon rock. It's actually imported from the moon, and it is the slickest rock on the face of the planet, especially when it gets a little bit of mud, a little bit of Ohio clay, and some water on it. So that's why these guys are slipping and sliding so much. This is always a spectator favorite section. Seriously, and I'm not exaggerating. You can't walk on that stuff when it's like this. You try to walk across it, next thing you know, your feet are above your head, and you're taking a little nap.
Well, we even saw that in one of our front runners in the XC2 class. He got hung up there, and you just saw back wheels spinning, bikes going nowhere. So with a section like that, I guess momentum's got to be the key, right? Really get a good drive before you get into it and just carry that all the way through.
Yep, 100%. Momentum and also throttle control. You know, if you just light up the throttle, it's a lot like the concept of anti-lock brakes. You know, if you just lock up when there's no friction, no grip between your tires and the surface under them, you know, you're just like on ice skates. You have no control. But if you keep the RPMs low and you play with the throttle, what we call throttle control, you can meter how much friction, how much grip there is between the knobs of your tires and the surface you're on. So low RPMs, keep it smooth, keep trying to find some grip.
Well, that's got to probably be one of the primary themes of the races. You see your leaders back on screen, Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler. Really not a lot has changed, about a bike length and a half between them. But you see how hard packed this shiny dirt is behind them. And then what was that? Was that what
dust.
I think it was?
That was dust. Yeah, look at this. Adam McGill, man, I am impressed. Adam McGill riding very well here early in this one and really managing to hang on, managing the gap to those two and starting to open up ever so much bigger of a gap the riders behind him. Last we saw, it was Jay Shadron. Still waiting on trying to get our trackside scoring up here, getting the death wheel. I'll try it again. But look at this. I mean, now this is a big gap back to the number 4 spot.
Yeah, an impressive performance right there from Adam McGill in that third place spot.
Jared McClure.
Wow, so how about that? McClure making the pass.
Right on the move. We saw he made some moves in our last camera shot, and now he has gotten around Jay Shadron. And then behind Shadron, it is 621 Wyatt Wilkins starting to stir back there.
So like we said, might not have gotten the start, but
then
he's charging hard. Yep, Hunter Hart just
John
behind
Galata
him.
Jr., Ronnie Rush. I think that was maybe, I did not see Brandon Owens come through there. That was actually Owens. Then that looked to be Merritt. Then it was Boric. Then it was Wilkin. And there is Stephen Harrell. And that, folks, is the entirety of your XC1 class.
There it was.
So a couple riders out front broke away, but then it's a lot of mayhem and wheel-to-wheel action back there.
Yeah, pretty close racing for at least the second half of the group as well. Now, once again, back out front, Neal getting a little hung up there on the exit of that corner. You know, Fowler's taking a look at this. And we talked about this earlier in the day, Jackson. We had our 4x4 Pro class. Brandon Frazier grabbing the win. But those first 2 laps, it kind of seemed like he was just patiently waiting behind Cody Collier. Didn't really have that aggressive body language that we've seen before, throwing the machine around. Kind of seemed like he knew patience is going to pay off in this kind of race. Maybe the same thing we're seeing from the likes of Fowler, McGill, and even further back in the pack.
Yeah, very well possibly could be that. Nonetheless, though, Bryson Neal has not got a break this entire race. Walker Fowler has been right there. And now we see them making their way into the pro pits. Going to see if anybody's going to stop this time around. It looks like they are going to keep the momentum going.
In and out. There it is. Bryson Neal slideways. Guys, Fowler in chase.
I don't know if it's just me, but does anybody else just wait enthusiastically for a lock-in from Bryson Neal? Every race when I watch, I just wait, I watch, and I'm just waiting for it. I mean, there we saw a roll-off in. Adam McGill pulling off the string there. And for those of you folks watching at home, what he's doing there is he's getting a fresh field of vision. Every time he pulls that little string, the film in front of him, much like an old-school camera, back in the days when camera had film, it advances across, and he has a new clear view of field in front of him, about 50 millimeters wide. And he can see nice and clear. Nobody in front of him throwing roost, but I'd imagine Walker Fowler sitting back there in the number 2 spot, really going through the roll-off film on those Scott Motorsports goggles, because he is absolutely taking a ton of roost. Now it's our number 4 place rider. There is Jared McClure. Great ride from him so far today.
Yeah, and had to work his way into that position as well. Didn't start right there. And I mean, how do you turn away from this? The 2 guys in the fight for the title, 1 and 2 on track. Another little bit of dust showing. And to your point, whoa, you see, that's what I was just about to ask. You see Walker Fowler kind of slamming into some of these berms. Do they want to kind of peek to the outside and get in some of that fluff for traction, or are they just trying to stay right in the center of that main line?
I think it's a combination of both. Some of these places, it's best to, there we see Adam McGill to the left side of our screen coming the other way in that section. So that gap starting to open up a little bit, but still McGill really putting into good pace there in the number 3 spot. But these 2 out front, I think, to me, watching this, I think Bryson Neal is kind of seemingly just watching, looking like he's picking up the pace little by little, trying to shake Fowler, and when he's not able to do so, I think these guys are both, until they get into lappers, I think they're just going to continue to try to one-up each other. Every time Bryson gets away, it seems Walker has an answer, but as far as that slamming in, a lot of times what you're trying to do is you use a lot of energy sometimes when you get into those edges, especially if there's holes and square edge. So you're trying to not do that. You're trying to stay in the middle of the track. And then once you start sliding, the only thing you can do is like, man, I got to aim for that edge or this is going to get ugly. So I think it just shows the Walker Fowler really trying right now. He's given it at least what looks to be pretty much everything he has to latch onto the back of Bryson Neal. Still impressive. I mean, Neal has been so solid in 2024. These guys are just, this is about as fast as you can run a four-wheeler.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a yo-yo effect. Seems like in kind of some of those open, faster sections, Fowler's been able to close it up, but some of the closer technical stuff, Neal stretches it back out. Honestly, probably one of the bigger gaps that we've seen all race long, and then just like that, it starts to close right back in. So back and forth between two of the best to do it, Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler. Walker now sitting atop the wins list with 76. I asked Jackson earlier, Johnny, I'm going to ask you the same thing. You know what's better than 76? 77.
There you go.
So we know what Fowler's chasing after for sure. Bryson Neal, his number he's focusing on is another number 1 that he wants to be running next year. So a lot on the line between these two. Chasing them down with your Yamaha Racing live drone.
There you go, Zach. You know, these guys are battling it out right there. I think we actually had an opportunity to speak to our current champion and defending champion, Bryson Neal, as he battles his way towards what he's hoping will be another championship here in 2024.
Oh yeah, you know, we got a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of fans coming from our local Wexer country, and yeah, man, it feels great. It feels great to be home. This is the closest race we got on the schedule. Got to sleep in our own bed last night. That's huge. Got to hang out and just take it easy on the couch, and it just always feels weird, but so relaxed at the same time when you're able to be home on your own couch, and you're like, hey, we're racing tomorrow. You know, the last 2 races it's been on me, and we kind of got kicked down, but we're here to get back on top today. This is our home track. Got a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of people come out to support me. Like I said, I got 2 bad races in a row, so number 3, we're looking to get back up on top today and grab this win today. We're feeling good. The approach is just the same as any other race. You know, I try not to treat it like it's anything different. It's just another race, and go out there, do my job, do my thing, and it's just that. You know, whenever you start thinking about it a little bit too much, stressing, worrying, trying to ride a little bit conserved, anything like that, I don't want to mess with that stuff. I just want to go out there, ride how I normally ride, and man, the chips will fall where they fall.
I tell you what I saw from that, Johnny, that's not the usual smiley Bryson Neal that we're accustomed to seeing. Obviously a DNF in 1, and then he said 2 bad races in a row. That last race was a 2nd, so it just goes to show that Bryson Neal is only happy with a 1st place, and he means business here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you got to figure, I mean, you know, for Bryson, he wants to put the nail in the coffin. He wants to wrap this thing up. He doesn't want to be fighting against a guy like, he doesn't want to fight anybody, let alone a guy like Walker Fowler for a championship. He's confident in his abilities, but when you give up points, that's a bad day. And he gave up 5 points 2 weeks ago, and 25 points the week before that. You know, Zach, I got to give you a little bit of credit. You know, we all know you guys, you and Jackson both do such a great job here, but you pointing out the fact that Bryson seems to stretch it out. He actually referenced that Wexer series. It's a local series here regionally that he races very tight, very technical tracks. It's kind of his jam. He is super strong and super good with that quick burst, point to point to point to point. Having raced these guys and watched them, Walker Fowler is so good at flowing and keeping his speed up. So what you're seeing where it kind of gets closer in the faster sections, not that Bryson Neal isn't super impressive in the fields, and not that Walker Fowler isn't lightning fast in the tight stuff, but you hit the nail on the head. Bryson Neal, point to point, quick, you know, quick hitter, bulldog type racing. I don't know that anyone's ever done it better, and Walker Fowler can find a flow in places where no one else can, but it's so cool to see these 2 different styles of riding come together and fighting it out for a national championship.
Well, and you got to give a huge props to our track crew and the way they set this up as well, because it gives us that nice back and forth. It's not just all one wide open section or all tight stuff. We get a little bit of both, the best of both worlds out here, and it allows both of these riders to shine. And like you said, one may be just a little bit better than the other in a certain section, but both of them the absolute cream of the crop when it comes to ATV, GNCC racing, and you're seeing why just now.
Absolutely. I mean, they're laying it down, and like I said before, guys, this is about as fast as you're ever going to see anyone ride an ATV in the woods, and you're seeing a display from about I don't know how high we are, let's say 500 feet in the air, looking down over this racing action from our Yamaha Racing live drone, and you're seeing it, seeing a lot of pretty colors too, man. Fall definitely in full bloom here in southern Ohio. Southern Ohio.
definitely enjoying a little bit cooler weather, and I'm sure these riders are as well. The heat not going to be an issue. I think the question on everybody's mind was what the weather was going to do over the course of the next 2 hours. It looked like a group of meteorologists in training, everybody all just studying a radar, and I use this app, well, I use this app, and the question is going to be, who had the right app, who did it pay it off for, and ultimately at this point, Johnny, is it going to change anything? If the bottom falls out right now, what is that going to do, and how is this going to change the layout of the race?
Well, you say if the bottom falls out. I mean, obviously, if we get an absolute, I'm going to use a local term here, frog strangler. If we get one where the sky just completely falls down on us and it's pouring buckets, cats and dogs, whatever analogy you want to use, these guys are going to struggle with vision. They're going to struggle with being able to hang on because their seats are going to be wet, their grips are going to be wet, and they're also going to be riding on a surface that is just absolutely slick as can be. Still, coming back to that tire choice, not something where I don't believe we're going to see this track get any deeper because the base itself is so hard. The only way you would see the track kind of get deeper is if they actually broke through the crust and then it rained. I don't think we're going to see that here today. I think if we do get some rain, which fingers crossed we don't, and the only reason I say fingers crossed is because we're seeing such great racing action out there. I like it just the way it is, but maybe you throw a little grease on the glass and see what happens, mix it up a little bit. We'll wait, we'll watch, and we'll see what happens.
Going to be fun to see for sure as we wait on our leaders here at mile number 8. Something you talked about earlier, Johnny, and Jackson and I have been talking about all weekend long. This dirt out here is just different. It's like, I swear you could build a house out of it, you could build a whole apartment complex out of it, and it wouldn't fall over. You talked about the potential of these ATVs overheating, and we saw this a lot in some of the earlier races today because, like we said, this mud, it's going to stick. It's going to hit it. It's not going to bounce off. It is going to coat up and really start to pack into those radiators. How long do you think Fowler's going to be able to stay right in this roost zone? Obviously, he's peeking to the left, peeking to the right, but he's still getting sprayed from the number 1.
Yeah, I mean, the spray that's coming up right now, nothing too crazy. Actually, in that section, I believe it was the FMF PowerPoint, where there was kind of what we call that slop on top, that loose soil that's kind of got some moisture in it. That was where he was really taking some roost. I was surprised by it. But if you look here, yes, the front of his bike is definitely covered, but it's not packed up, and you saw more dry dirt flying up there. That's the thing that, to me, I've been here the last 2 days. I got here Thursday, and to see dust and dry dirt flying up, I'm here, and I can't believe it. So I know the people at home that have been following along on social media, talking to their friends, oh my gosh, it's so bad, the camper's stuck. They're like, oh yeah, here goes the Racer TV guys again, just talking about how perfect the track is. Folks, come out here, check it out for yourself. The track is in pristine condition.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, we were literally, Johnny almost flew away with his canopy yesterday while we were setting up. It was raining so hard. There comes the Gator, still running strong in that third place spot, and to be able, at that moment, if you just said it's going to be a perfect track tomorrow, I'd just said you're absolutely crazy, but sure enough, here we are.
Some people did say that, such as Hunter Hart. He said it will be a great track out here today. I got to talk to him some yesterday. Here we are. It is a great track. I would have never believed it myself coming through, but we mentioned that the clay out here, guys. I'm from Georgia. I'm used to the red clay. This is not the same kind of clay we have in Georgia. This you could take and just use it and make a pot out of it. It is straight up pottery clay out there in some parts, but just like you said, Johnny, not all that dirt is that kind of clay texture that you're seeing. I believe it's mainly in the parking lot.
Looks like Wyatt Wilkin now up to the number 4 spot, so he's made at least 2 passes. He's gotten around Jared McClure, who now sits there in the number 5 spot. Then it's Headlights, Jay Shadron. Hunter Hart putting on a charge back up to the rear of Shadron. Then comes John Glauda Jr. on that Phoenix Racing Yamaha. Then it is Ronnie Rush, Brandon Owens, Josh Merritt, Chris Borich. And here comes Austin Abney and Stephen Harrell, and once again, that is the entirety of your XC1 class. These guys, man, the top 3 have broken away, and then after that, it is a snarling battle of wanting to get around each other for about the next 6 guys, and they're wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel. Great racing action. They're just outside the top 3 here on our second lap of racing action.
Do you think that's competition? Do you think the track just kind of allows them to all stay that close? I mean, we've seen a lot of different multiple line options. Obviously, Walker Fowler, he was looking anywhere possible, but what do you think it is that's allowing 6, 7, 8 riders all to stay so close together when in some of our other rounds, obviously the dust, that contributed to the separation at our last round, but besides that, we've seen big gaps early in the races multiple times throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot has to do with the order the guys start in. When you get someone like Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler out front 1 and 2, it tends to be hard for anybody to kind of catch that pace. Adam McGill doing a phenomenal job there, holding those guys pretty close. But that said, further back in the pack, I think you've got a mix of some guys that maybe are not as comfortable running the pace, that started a little further up front and kind of bunched everybody up. And now, as those guys kind of work their way by, like Wyatt Wilkin, like Hunter Hart, some of the guys that we're more accustomed to seeing up front, I think we're going to start to see things a little further up there, spread out a little bit, and some of the other riders kind of shuffle back through the pack. That said, it's just, man, this track not easy to pass on, and you brought up a good point with the dust. When you can't see, it's hard to even get close enough someone to race them, let alone trying to pass them. So this track, not a lot of passing opportunities, which is why we see, when there is one, we see guys really ramming it in there. We've seen actually contact already, even in the first couple turns. I made mention of how aggressive Walker Fowler was. I mean, he railed around the outside of Jay Shadron and jumped that ditch. No contact, but I mean, it was a full press to get in front. He wanted to be right on Bryson Neal going into the woods. We saw that throughout. We saw some contact back in the XC2 class, and even in these multi-line sections, we've seen a lot of side-to-side, little bumping and grinding, because passing opportunities are a bit few and far between.
Yeah, and like you said, that I feel like that intensity continued for at least the first half a lap or so. Walker Fowler, you could even see on the body language, just the way he's moving from side to side, it's just a little bit more aggressive than we're accustomed to seeing, especially early in the race from Fowler. So we sit and wait here at mile 9, the monster mile. There you see one of the Phoenix Yamaha crew waiting with some advice there. If that was you, Johnny, if you're running the pit board, what are you telling? What's on that pit board right now for Neal?
I mean, the only thing they could possibly be telling him is which line they want him to take, because he knows he's leading. He knows Walker Fowler's in second, and he went outside there, and that may be in what they told him. Like, make sure you hit that inside line. Walker Fowler, again, looking really chirpy back there. One thing, and this is just pure speculation, I think Walker Fowler wants to get to the front because I think he wants to control the pace. Here's why. Walker Fowler, only a few weeks back on the bike yet. You can't imagine that he quite is going to have the fitness. I mean, Bryson Neal, an absolute specimen, a monster, an animal on and off the machine. I mean, he is as strong and as fit as you can be. Walker Fowler, I think, showing he has the speed right now, but I really think what we're seeing is him wanting to get to the front so that maybe he can kind of check up a little bit, take a few breathers here and there to potentially put himself in position, to fight for this thing late. Because if he has to continue to chase after Bryson Neal at full steam, man, it's really going to put a tax on him physically, and we're going to see if he has the juice to go the full 2 hours. Now,
as far as, let's say that doesn't happen, does Walker Fowler just hang on until he can't, or does he try to fade back a little bit and then charge late?
This is a guy who's won 76 races. He has 7 GNCC overall championships. But he's up against an immovable object right now. Bryson Neal is just so good. Walker Fowler is going to give it absolutely everything he has. So here comes now our 4th place rider. There is Wyatt Wilkin. Jared McClure, to his credit, getting a little slideways. Does that count as sideways?
Yeah, that's close enough.
And there is Jay Shadron, still holding strong there in the number 6 spot. Then it's Hunter Hart and John Glauda Jr. in 7th and 8th as they come by at the 9-mile marker. Again, very, very slick there on that rock, and we just saw that. And now, look at this. Looking like Brandon Owens having a little bit of a struggle there. Josh Merritt coming up. Then it's Ronnie Rush. Then it's Austin Abney. Chris Borich.
These moon rocks, you weren't joking.
No, they're very, very slick. Look at that. Did you see what happened when he hit the brakes?
There, yep.
Just along like he's on ice. Crazy, crazy section of racetrack there. All the years we'd come up to that. And the wild part is when it's dry, like if we race here on a dry, perfect grip. But the minute you get any moisture on it whatsoever, it gets real dicey.
Hanging on for dear life. And going back to what you were talking about with Walker and Bryson, I know yesterday, Johnny, we were talking about some of the riders we may see tomorrow as far as just mentality goes. It just being a specimen, not necessarily on the body, but in the mind. I got to think we put Walker Fowler in that category as well, as far as just willingness to suffer when it comes down to the overall goal.
1,000%. I mean, he's got a championship on the line. He knows that, number one, he needs to, if he can't win today, and Bryson Neal does, he knows he's at least got to get a second to keep himself alive, because looming large here. Bryson Neal wins today. Walker Fowler finishes 3rd. Championship's over. He would leave here with a 30-point lead, meaning that the best Walker could do would be tie him. And because Bryson has already won more races than Walker would be able to, he would win the tiebreaker. So that is a championship on the line. Now, granted, Walker in second here, he would give up 5 points if the race finishes as they run. But that would still be 26 points, and that is a lot to try to overcome. So you can see these guys. That hill is so slick. Crazy that they're going up that main line. They're not even going to the outside. They're just running it right straight up the middle. And Walker Fowler is going to absolutely deplete himself, turn himself inside out, as is Bryson Neal. I mean, if the shoe's on the other foot all of a sudden and Walker gets the lead, Bryson Neal, I don't know that we've ever seen him get tired, or at least we can tell that he's tired. But even if he is, he's just going to keep pushing. Both of these guys are going to leave everything on the track. They know they have 2 weeks to get ready to go to do it again, and they both know, again, the largest goal, the carrot that they've been chasing since all the way back early in February is on the line here today, and that's what they're fighting for. McGill has a great line there up the outside. I actually think that outside line there is much faster than slipping up the inside line the way that Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler both did.
Yeah, I believe actually our trail boss Ryan Eccles even said that. He was like, I haven't been able to ride both of these, but I think that outside might be a little bit faster. Sounds like Gator was paying attention and puts it to good use there. Definitely looked like he was at least carrying a little more speed headed up the hill.
Yep, and looking coming the other way, we may catch a glimpse of Adam McGill, and there he is, the number 521 machine at the 10-mile marker, working his way towards the finish line scoring chicane with what will be 2 laps complete. We pan back over, and we see the number 621 of Wyatt Wilkin there in the number 4 spot. Now, he made it up that inside line, got a lot of grip there, and was able to rocket up that thing. Then it's Jared McClure on the number 9. Here comes Jay Shadron, and all up in Jay Shadron's business, and actually up onto the back of his four-wheeler is Hunter Hart, full contact there, and then John Glauda Jr. just behind them. Hunter Hart basically pushing Jay Shadron up that FMF PowerPoint hill climb.
It's just a little friendly assistance, helping make sure they both get up to the top. As we see Bryson Neal getting ready to check in for another lap. Walker Fowler right there behind him. And you can see some of those banners getting taken down early today. Great job from the track crew of getting some moose repeaters up there to make sure we know where to go. But that was another section where, I mean, bars were as turned as you could get. Four-wheelers are going straight. And just like that, your leaders disappear back once again.
And we can see now just how much that gap has started to open up over the number 521 of Adam McGill. Last lap, he was much closer, but still, I mean, an absolutely phenomenal ride that he's putting in there in the number 3 spot. He's looking solid, and he's got a pretty good gap over the 621 of Wyatt Wilkin. Now we see Adam McGill checking in.
So McGill making his way through. 3rd place on the deck for another lap. McGill trying to chase them down. As our Yamaha live drone pans off, here's what you've had so far. It's Bryson Neal grabbing that early race lead and trying to make the most with it. But there it is, Walker Fowler, the 7-time champ, hot on his heels, trying to track him down and keep the title hopes alive. This has been about the gap the entire race. He got close, headed up the hill at the FMF PowerPoint. They stretched it back out through some of the tight technical sections. And they're getting ready to do more for the rest of this 2-hour race. We're going to get word from our sponsors, and we'll be back for the Wiseco John Penton GNCC.
Unleash aggression, reliability, and premium quality with Kenda Tires. Delivering exceptional performance on all types of vehicles. Automotive, ATVs, UTVs, motorcycles, bicycles, trailers, lawn and garden, and even golf. Trust Kenda Tires to guide you on your next adventure. Kenda, designed for your journey.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
On Track School is an online private school catering to some of the top athletes in the world. We offer a flexible schedule for students that are chasing their dreams and always on the go. We are an accredited K-12 school where students can graduate with a diploma. Scan the QR code or call us to book an appointment with one of our learning coaches to discuss your students' next steps.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wiseco John Penton GNCC. A little look back to 2023, a little different conditions. Maybe it's a little similar conditions. Wet start. I believe that was Jared McClure grabbing the whole shot on this one. Another good start for him this year as well. And it was a battle royale. As you can see, very different conditions out on the course itself. Super thick, sloppy, but still that shiny, hard-packed base underneath. And, man, this was a cool one. Obviously, running up inside the top three right now, Adam McGill was able to get his way into the number 1 spot, but right there, the number 11 of Josh Merritt. This was a huge day, and I think a big turning point in the XC1 career of Merritt. There you see Adam McGill making his way through. You can't even tell he's rocking on a Honda right there, but moves his way through into that number 1 spot. But a career first XC1 podium for Josh Merritt, and this is really where you started to see the confidence. The number 11 right there in the second place spot, an extremely solid ride from start to finish, and didn't luck into anything. He earned that podium, continued to fight all the way to the checkered flag, and you saw he wasn't out of sight from Adam McGill, so didn't just grab a second, but was within sight of that first place position. And here you see the fight was on for sure. Came down to the wire. Bryson Neal, of course, charging hard, trying to get the job done, but it was just a little too late as Adam McGill with a big shake of the head, and the crowd goes crazy. The Gator got it done last year. And there you see everybody wanting to high five, hang out with him. Josh Merritt on the box. Look at that. He says, I'm spraying myself first on this one. And believe that was Bryson Neal jumping up on the podium with him as well. And that's a good time. There was a lot of emotions, a lot of hype there on that podium. Like I said, might not have been the biggest, but probably one of the loudest podiums we had of the entire 2023 season.
They lose their minds for the Gator. There is no doubt about that. A people's champ for many years, Adam McGill. So really cool to see him kind of turn back the clock, grab that win last year. And you nailed it on the head with Merritt. We talk about it all the time. It sounds like a cliche, but the hardest podium's that first one, and then after that, they don't really get any easier in reality. But you realize, hey, as a rider, as a pro rider, I can do this. I can hang, and Josh Merritt has proved that here this season.
Well, and he's continued from that as well. Yeah. It went from, hey, I'm a top 5 that could podium to I'm a did podium guy that could win to a I did win now. And immediately he kind of was like, hey, it's almost like a self-realization where he's like, you know what? Wait a second. Like, I belong. And almost immediately we saw consistent performance up towards the front. And even when he doesn't get a good start, as you see Neal and Fowler back on screen, he's moving his way towards the front. And even if he doesn't get on the podium, he's close to it almost every race.
Yeah, and I know you guys talked about it early in the show as we watch our leaders on screen just shadowing one another. Between Merritt and Wilkin, those guys, like, they have their own air quotes championship battle between them. They want that number 3 national number moving into next season. So Merritt, the favored one in that one here today so far.
And definitely going to be fun to watch as well because they're buddies, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's like we talk about wanting to beat your teammate.
I kept trying to get a dig in there this morning, trying to stir it up a little bit, and they just wouldn't.
They're too classy.
Hey, they did a little bit. They said they'd fight it out.
Yeah.
Not off the track.
Yeah. That's what I wanted. I wanted to see the pit fight.
Levi Cohen would whoop them both. So
exactly.
He keeps them
grab
under
them both
control.
by the neck. And
man was squatting 530. I saw it. So. No, impressive, and that goes to show those guys suffer together during the week, you know, and I think that's cool that they recognize, hey, all of us are doing the work, all of us are putting in the time. There you see the Gator also putting in the time, having to make a lot of adjustments within the last few years, obviously coming down with some health issues and really kind of having to rewrite the script as far as the nutrition, the fitness plan goes. Seems like he's got things dialed in and really seems to be working for him here today.
Yeah, Adam McGill is still a fan favorite, party favorite as well, but had to reel in maybe a little bit of the whiskey. He still has his whiskey and wine Wednesdays with his wife Haley, but look at this. Walker Fowler now applying the pressure. And off air, Johnny Gallagher brought up a good point. He said, we got to keep an eye on these pit stops. You know, is the strategy going to come into play? Does Walker Fowler bypass it this lap and maybe wait till the next lap to maybe get ahead of Bryson and put a little lead on? So that is going to be an interesting little segment when they approach that pro pits.
Yeah, definitely going to be curious. And once again, we see it open back up. It's so crazy how quickly you can go one way to another. Look at this. Fowler actually looking like making up just a little bit of time in that chicane as they get ready to head towards the pit once again. Fowler in for the pits, as is Bryson Neal. So looks like they're both going at the same time.
And look at that. Cool, calm, collected, grabbed the goggles off the IMS tank, and he's back off and rolling.
Boom, both of them.
There's Walker right behind him.
Like a NASCAR pit stop, in and out and back to business. Maybe a bike length or two extra than we've seen pretty much the entirety of this race. It just goes to show, I mean, we talk about these guys, obviously they're the pinnacle, the best. They've got themselves down to a T, but the whole team, whether it's the WFR Racing, whether it's that Phoenix Racing Yamaha team, the whole pit crew, they got to be performing as well. The pressure was on them those last few seconds. Both of them performed and got their rider back out just in time. So no change in position, but both of them refueled, fresh goggles, and back out on the course. We'll wait to see whether McGill's going to stop as well. I got to assume, more than likely, I would think, kind of in no man's land right now, and that's a tough spot to be in as well as your Adam McGill. We talk about being able to pace off of one another. Johnny even said it earlier. He thinks Walker wants to get in front to control that pace, but if you're Gator, you don't know. Am I losing time? Am I gaining time? Are the people behind me gaining time? And obviously, they do have personnel, as we see. Gator is in the pits as well. They do have people telling them throughout the course, but in between pit stops and in between pit boards, you got to think that it's weighing on his head. Oh, problems for McGill a little late. Little issues there getting back going. Not sure exactly what that was, Jackson, but nonetheless, he's back off and rolling and still holding on to that third place position as we saw.
And you can see his wife there along with the rest of the pit crew trying to tell him exactly what's going on here. You got some room behind you sitting in that third place position, but it's so hard to let the rider know. You know, the pit boards can only go so far, so it's hard to tell them everything they need to know as we see Wyatt Wilkin stopping for his pit.
Wilkin in and out, and a lot of different pit strategies based off of each person as more riders making their way through, crisscrossing. Riders headed in as other riders are headed out. Looks like that's Hunter Hart trying to make his way in and out. We'll see whether or not it's enough to get him around Jared McClure, and it looks like it was. So Hunter Hart actually picking up a position from those pit stops. John Claude Jr. having a quietly good race as well. I believe it was his younger brother that got on the overall podium a little bit earlier, so the pressure's on for big brother John Claude Jr. trying to move that Phoenix Racing Yamaha up towards the front. And you can see it's pretty much everybody all into these pits right now. I think everybody not only wanting to get some fuel, but look, you see a lot of these riders washing the bikes off as well, trying to get those radiators clean, let the bikes breathe so that when they get back out, they're cool and able to go. We see Hannah the Hurricane Hunter taking care of Stephen Harrell, giving him a little wave, get going. Got a good support system there from the 716.
So just about everybody now checked into the pit and back off they go. That's Chris Borage on the number 12 machine. And now we take a look back at the Yamaha Racing live drone. At your leader, Bryson Neal, along with Walker Fowler in the second place position. And Bryson Neal able to open up a little bit of a gap. And just as I say it, Walker Fowler reels it back in.
Just as long as it takes us to say the gap, they change it, whether it's close, whether it's far apart. And that's got to be, obviously, I'm sure Neal can hear it behind him, but for Walker Fowler to be right there, you can almost grab his chest protector or grab the back of his jersey, and then all of a sudden, he's slipping away. And then back and forth. It's a lot of emotional stress, but at the same time, this is a guy that's been there and done that. We were actually able to catch up with the 7-time champ, the winningest ATV rider of all time, Walker Fowler.
Years ago, I really thought I was just going to blow it out of the water, and then life starts happening, and goals start becoming a lot harder to obtain, and being realistic really starts to set in, and it's like, man, this Chris Borage goal is actually going to be really hard, and getting 9 championships would be really hard. It's so impressive that Bill Balance did what he did. You know, obviously I got to 7 and lost it, and Bryson's been on a tear recently, but yeah, the last couple wins have been tough. The competition just continues to get stronger. You know, some of our youngest riders are really starting to ride really well. Ronnie Rush last race, but you know, Wyatt Wilkin and Josh Merritt getting a win in the same season. Josh is my age, but I still think he's, you know, a kid to me. But you know, Wyatt having the year he's having and being now a podium guy too, and still getting in the mix with Bryson and I, and you know, showing us the wheel, passing us, trying to pull away, and you know, it's just when everyone thinks there's only one guy, and then maybe the old, you know, guy that's running second right now can get in there, but you get 3, 4, 5 guys that can win races, and you know, you just put the dice in the shaker and roll them. So it's really cool that just when you think it's going to be a runaway, racing always tends to even itself out and level the playing field. Honestly, didn't think I'd ever be in this position, so it's just keeping myself healthy, keeping myself out of trouble, and kind of just letting what happens. I really don't feel like I'm in control of the situation. But I'm doing everything I can to give myself the best opportunity possible, and you just have to be there to be in the fight. So I'm hoping to get a good start, make no mistakes. You know, the last couple of races I've been really riding just within myself, not above or anything, and just making 0 errors. That's been huge. So we'll see what happens. I kind of did some rough math. I know he's got to do better than a 3rd and a 4th if I would win both, and that's a lot more realistic than being 50 whatever points behind. So it's his to lose. I'm just out here enjoying racing. I'm fairly confident no matter what happens today, I'll come off the track with a smile.
So like we said, these riders, they're focused on themselves. They've done the math. They know what the other rider needs to do or not to do. But at the end of the day, like you said, I just want to do what I can do, focus on limiting my mistakes, and the pieces will fall where they should.
And honestly, Walker Fowler, that we go back a couple of rounds ago where we had that big delay, right? And he said, I'm not racing today. Changes his mind last minute, able to get signed up, get in there as we continue to watch that battle unfold in front of us. That's when things changed. She had a really good finish. B. Neal had the DNF. And then you go last race, Walker with the win. Bryson Neal with, in his words, a bad day, which was still a podium. But nonetheless, we had this this is going to be a boring end of the season. It's Bryson Neal's. He's still very in control. That's obvious. But Walker Fowler is kind of playing with house money. I mean, he said before that race that he decided to race in, I'm focused on next year. I want to heal up before next year. That's why I did the surgery at this point, not the off season. So it's almost like you got nothing to lose, man. You're sitting in the 2 spot. You're kind of secured in it. What happens, happens. Go for it.
Well, and Walker Fowler, too, by no means had he given up. Did he give the championship to Bryson Neal? But as someone who's been in that position before, he knows how the points break down. He knows, hey, it's not necessarily the most likely. But then he makes the decision, a huge 30 points gap, and it's like, wait a second. And then all of a sudden, like that killer instinct.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the smirk came back and the eyes narrowed a little bit. And it's like, wait a second. This is this cold-blooded guy that's done this 7 times before, 76 wins. And, all of a sudden it was like, wait a second, I'm not quite as calm and cool with this as I thought I was. So, and I love to see it. I love to see both of these guys, their hunger, right? They're dogs, if you will, and they're ready to go do battle with one another. So it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
And I heard you mention it. Oh, one of is this? No, that is not Adam. Thought that was McGill for a split second.
It did look like it,
but that could play
just some
a role.
Yeah, they're going to be coming into this section here. And
this could play a lot of havoc.
Yeah, because, I mean, think about it. This is the main line that your leaders were going through. Our GNCC Mud Fleas, got to give them a shout-out.
Heck yeah. Oh, this is where we saw 2 riders earlier completely cut the course live on Racer TV. Yes, oh, wonderful.
There it is, yeah. That did happen. So,
not pros, just to clarify.
And we see some of the racing crews trying to give the riders direction to get around.
Jeremiah Wolf.
Oh, and he's multi-time top-performing amateur as well. So just goes to show, even the riders that find themselves on the podium have trouble.
The 673.
Chris Magnallen making his way through, almost slamming and flipping over on those moon rocks.
Oh, Papa P, Jeff Pickens.
He knows how to get through.
Yeah, he had no problems, no issues. Nick Davidson. Johnny is whispering that in our ears, by the way. I could have picked out, I'm going to say it, I could have picked out Jeff Pickens, but I don't know if I'd have gotten Nick Davidson. So credit where credit's due there on Eagle Eye.
So waiting on the leaders here at the mile 8 mark. We'll see if it's still Bryson Neal. And here he is, right on time.
With his shadow, Walker Fowler. And like you were saying earlier, and I saw it in his body language. Bryson Neal, normally when we do that pre-race report, he's all smiles. Hey, Mikey, how you doing, man? Like, no, it was game face. And I'm like, oh, the boys are in for a treat today. And Walker Fowler right now is matching him for that. But nonetheless, Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler just setting themselves apart. Timing and scoring tells us that as well. Adam McGill having a sensational day, but still 43 seconds back from these leaders.
You know, you mentioned that, Mikey, at the last race when I interviewed him. Bryson Neal, you could see the fire in his eyes.
Yeah.
I asked him if he felt the pressure, and it was almost like a switch went off, and he could tell, like, no, I want you to know that I do not think the pressure is there. I think I have this, and we're good to go. So it said a lot to me, the way that he responded to that.
And even the pressure is the pressure of himself, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, and that's the cool spot, is they don't think that either one of them can get the best of them. Yeah. They think if they are at 100%, they are the guy to beat. And two warriors like that with that kind of mindset, that's one heck of a show for us on Racer TV. So, like you saw, I mean, they were pretty much Velcroed together when they came through here at mile 8, and we continue to wait. 43 seconds, we were told, to get back to Adam McGill. And does it show what the gap is from McGill back to, I believe, Wilkin there in 4th?
37.9.
So talk about no man's land. Yeah, 40 back and 40 in front for Adam McGill. And that's a tough spot to be in. And so far, at least, he's been able to maintain that pretty well. Got to think, I know he'd want to back up that win, but a podium finish would be awesome for Adam McGill out here this weekend.
And I have to think that gap has grown just a little bit here from the 43 seconds we saw at the finish line. As we still wait for your third-place rider, Adam McGill, to make his way around the mile 8 marker.
Going to be interesting. I believe it's that Monster Mile coming up next for your leader, so we'll have to wait and see if there's any lap rider issues. That's Wilkins, so we have lost the Gator in that third-place position. What happened to Adam McGill? We saw...
There he is, guys.
Oh, and he's pushing the machine.
And we saw him in the pit there having a little bit of trouble. Maybe that was what was going on.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what it was. It looked like maybe some issues getting it fired up or going once again.
So I'm telling you right now, this man is going to do everything he can to get that machine up and going back to the pit if he can. Because he's made the comment several times, I've never had a full season where I was able to finish every single race. And he's like, I'm 2 away from getting that done. So, yes, to your point, podium would be awesome. Adam McGill is so focused on getting to finish every race. And I think he's got a new machine this weekend, yes, correct, on the build for Adam. But, yeah, that's a man that will probably put his life on the line to push it through the finish.
And I'm a little curious what the issue must have been. Because, like we said, he was pushing it, but once he got it fired back up, he was right back on it rolling. So not sure what that could have been. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm sure he's able to put it in the back of his head. But nonetheless, he is charging forward, back on the roll once again. As we check in here at Monster Mile, mile number 9. Looks like no lap traffic hanging out here, so leader's going to have a clear track in front of them to make their way through. We did see a couple of the XC1 riders taking that far, I guess it'd be far right-hand line for them, left hand on your screen, but both Walker and Bryson pretty much right up the middle. And the Mudfleas are ready. They say, hey, man, you can use my foot for traction if you need to. They will lay down if they need to.
So Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler setting a blistering pace. New person in third with Wyatt Wilkin moving up. And a tough break for Adam McGill. See if he's able to keep that machine together and keep her going. Leader, leader, leader. B. Neal out in front. Walker Fowler, the shadow, in the number 2 spot. Oh, Neal getting a little hung up right there.
Believe Walker actually maybe helped bump him out of getting stuck. So a little favor there from Walker Fowler. But nonetheless, all that constant reminder to Bryson Neal, hey, I'm right there. I'm right behind you. Don't make a mistake. So we're waiting. Going to continue to wait, and like you said, a little bit longer of a gap. Curious how much the gap will be between Walker Fowler and Wyatt Wilkin now. It was about 40 seconds back to McGill, and then another 37, so potential for over a minute between second and third. So we watch some more of our riders check in with Ricky Towery there at the finish line.
Hunter Hart's dad there standing by with a little hydration for Hunter Hart. if he needs it.
Want to give a shout out to one of our media guys, Carson, down there. He's from that western North Carolina area. I know his hometown was pretty severely affected by the hurricane, and still out here with us this weekend. Says, I've got a job to do. I got people that are depending on me. So big shout out to him.
There goes 1 and 2. Bryson Neal, and then Walker Fowler through the Monster Mile. So now let's see what that gap is back to the 6:21 of Wyatt Wilkin, who now sits in that 3 spot. I think, to your point, Jackson, a little bit bigger. Is it a full minute? We're going to be in that minute range.
It could be over.
It might be. It just
40
might
and
be
40,
today.
Yeah, that's definitely going to open it up. But I'm telling you what, I mean, Wyatt has worked his way into that number 3 spot. So I'm curious to see what he's able to do with clean track in front of him. Obviously, it would probably be a little easier if he could pace off of those top 2, but maybe he's got enough pace all by himself.
And you know, from Wyatt's perspective, you know, the battle between him and Josh Merritt wanting that number 3 moving into next season. Right now, Wilkin in a 3rd, and then you got Merritt back, at least when he checked in 10th. This would be a huge, huge day for Wyatt Wilkin to move in the right direction as they head into Ironman in a few weeks. And there is Wyatt Wilkin. Slow-mo action for you right there.
And you have to think Wyatt probably got a little shot of adrenaline there when he hears that he's in the 3rd place position. A little umph to him. And there we go. There's Hunter Hart making his way through. So Hunter in the 4th place position. This is one of his best rides we've saw here this year.
Oh, and this could create a problem for the rest of the field as well, because he's almost blocking both of those lines.
Oh, yeah.
So
getting some help.
Oh, and I believe that was J-Shad, that made the pass around the left-hand side. So might have gotten back around a few of those riders. But Hunter Hart, another rider that's charging pretty hard, made some quick passes and is going to try to chase down Wyatt Wilkin as well. Be curious to see where Josh Merritt's at the next time they check in as well. Seems like Wilkin and Hart have been able to make some pretty serious passes. Looks like Neal has actually opened up the gap just a little bit now. Usually Walker Fowler's right on the rear wheels up this hill.
Boys through the FMF PowerPoint already. Neal trying to stretch it back out. Things shaking up back behind 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
And here we go, Bryson Neal back on screen.
Here at that FMF, and that's what I was just about to say. Did not see him. That's one of the first times we've not seen them in the same frame together.
And he's not much out of it. He's still hanging tight.
Yeah, certainly not over, and we've seen it before. A couple of mistakes in a row can give you that much of a gap, and already we see Walker starting to cut right back into it, one of those more flowy sections like Johnny was talking about. So Walker knows exactly what he's got to do, but he also knows how to pace it as well. Yeah. He knows, hey, it's not crunch time quite yet, but we don't want to let him ride off any more than we have to. So wait to see. I did see it looked like Ricky Towery might have had the white tucked behind his.
I was wondering that, like, just looking at the time we've had, whether or not maybe we just didn't get a 2-lap card. We're going straight to white. I'm going to guess that's our situation. If you're wondering what our, I think that's Moose Repeater right there. That is for a Stasic race tonight. If you are out here on property and wondering, hey, where the heck is a Stasic race? Yes, there's the man, Ricky Towery.
The true north of GNCC.
Just everybody down there right now is just waiting on Ricky to turn his head slightly and say, here we go.
Goosebumps every time.
Every time.
Look at him. She said, you're doing great, Ricky.
Oh, maybe not.
Don't mess it up.
Pop you in the mouth, Ricky Towery. That was Mama Fowler right there, setting him straight.
Okay, here we go. Bryson Neal making his way through. Let's see what these gaps are going to be. I have to wonder what the gap is going to be back from Wyatt Wilkin to Hunter Hart.
So Neal checks in a lap time 27:16.4. Walker Fowler a 27:16.7. 3.2 seconds is the difference, and waiting on 3rd for Wyatt Wilkin to check in. Let's see if it is in that minute mark. Wilkin maybe pushing a little bit too. It's a pretty good gap. It was, at least, as we mentioned earlier, 30, just shy of 38 seconds back to what was Jared McClure when they checked in last time. So Wyatt with some breathing room.
There we see Wilkin just now making his way up the FMF PowerPoint at mile 10. And look at that, Hunter Hart.
Man,
he's on the charge.
We could have a fight here. Hunter Hart, 2 podiums here this season. You know he wants to get a 3rd before this season's over with. He has it in sight.
Yeah, Hunter Hart, like, historically, I believe his first XC1 win was at Ironman. Oh, look at that. Nice battle. Ironman, I don't remember what year it was, but 19. Thank you, Johnny. 2019, his first win at the Ironman GNCC in what was such muddy, nasty conditions. The man came through the finish and couldn't even see, to the point that he had no clue he even won the thing. So, yeah, Hunter, always good to close out the season well.
Okay, there is Wyatt Wilkin on screen, making his way to the finish line.
So 4-lap race when it's all said and done. Neal and Fowler have checked in. They are on the last lap, and we're about to see the 6:21 of Wyatt Wilkin checking in right here. Let's see Wyatt Wilkin come through this finish and get our timing and scoring. As the 6:21, gonna say hello to our good friend Ricky Towery down there.
So crazy to see the difference between the track and the parking lot road right there beside. I mean, complete night and day difference.
Absolutely. So Neal out in front, Fowler in the 2 spot, Wyatt Wilkin in 3rd, about to check in. We want to get our eyes on that time gap to let you guys know where the 6:21 is at.
Should be seeing him any second, roughly 2 minutes from the time we saw him entering into the woods, so we see him pop back out here at the finish. And I believe this is him.
There he goes. Wyatt Wilkin checks in. 3rd lap completed for him. Takes the white flag. Your new 3rd place rider. 2 minutes and 20 seconds is the gap between 3rd and 2nd.
And Hunter Hart now checked in to the finish as well.
So taking a look now, chaos for some of the riders further back in the track, but up front it is all business between the 2 title contenders, Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, going head to head. And this is pretty much how it's been the entirety of the race. Over 2 minutes between these 2 and the rest of the field. We do have a battle going on between Wyatt Wilkin and Hunter Hart for that final podium position as well. We're going to get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to close out the Wiseco John Penton GNCC.
We've been there since the very beginning.
20 laps, the main event, the Mud, the Blood, the Beer.
Organizing the industry and building champions. "100 years of defending your rights to ride into the future."
Community, family, teamwork. It's what we have stood on for over a decade. Hauling might be what we do at the surface, but it's much deeper than that. Because what you need matters. When you need a haul, give us a call at 724-852-4488. For 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, we at JD Enterprises are prepared to serve you.
It takes commitment, passion, and endurance to make something great. Made by champions, for champions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round 12 of 13, the Wiseco John Penton GNCC here in Millfield, Ohio. The white flag is waving, and we've got a battle on our hands, not just for first and second, but for that final podium spot as well. Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler, 1 and 2, with Wyatt Wilkin in the third place spot for now. Hunter Hart hard on the charge in that fourth place spot. Great shot here from our Yamaha Racing live drone. The hurricane, the rain, we threw it all at it. The GNCC Racing Nation still shows up in droves. Everybody excited to enjoy some great racing, and I bet they're not regretting a thing right now because these guys have put on a show over the last hour and 26 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a battle up front there, and obviously we saw a local fan favorite, Adam McGill, up in a podium position there early. So a lot of these fans that kind of maybe had a little frustration this morning getting parked if they just came out, or maybe they pulled in yesterday. It has been a challenge the last 2 days, just frankly navigating around this facility. But the surprise of the day, near perfect race conditions. I mean, the track could not be better, and it's provided us such great racing action. And what we're seeing right now, guys, as we went to break, I kind of came back in and was watching. When you said 2 minutes and 20 seconds back to Wyatt Wilkin, this is a guy who just won a race 2 rounds ago. This guy obviously has speed. All the guys behind him, Hunter Hart pushing hard. But what you're seeing is I guess what you'll say is a generational moment where, Bryson Neal, Walker Fowler, 2 guys at the absolute top of their game, pushing a pace that, frankly, and this is not a shot at anybody else, nobody else is going to match right now. Like, these guys are pushing so hard that it's just, they're right on the ragged edge of what is even possible with these machines and with this track, and we're seeing these gaps. It went from 42 seconds to 2 minutes and 20 in one lap. I mean, this is full push, full court press for Bryson Neal, and he started to open it up a little bit over Walker Fowler, but we see Fowler has answered and is still right there. But folks, it doesn't take a race expert such as myself to watch to see this is absolutely a full push from these guys. We're seeing way more intensity. These guys are going for it. We're going to start to see potentially some mistakes because they're pushing so hard. Who will crack first, or will it just be business as usual all the way to the finish line? We don't know, but one thing we do know for sure, man, is this exciting to watch.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Fowler right now is rightfully so applying that pressure to Neal, try to force him into a mistake. Bryson Neal will be doing the exact same thing behind Walker Fowler right now. For those wondering, Adam McGill, we talked about, hey, he's got a big goal of, I got to finish every single race this year. He has checked in, 3 laps completed, sitting back in that, I believe, number 12 spot. And while we watch that battle out in front, Johnny, you were talking about the XC2 class, wanted to show them some love. Alex Seaman having a heck of a day, an 18-second lead over over Braxton Gross, who is in that 2 spot. And then Grayson Eller, after a dismal start, working his way up, sitting 3rd in that XC2.
Well, if you want to talk about excitement, you want to talk about drama, we've been talking about this XC1 championship battle all day. That XC2, I believe Zach had looked it up, and it was 10 points was the gap, meaning that if they finish as they run and Alex Tiemann grabs the win today, Grayson Eller ends up in that number 3 spot. That would be a 9-point swing.
Holy smokes.
Meaning 1 point would be the gap coming into the final round of action.
Take all.
On screen, leader, Bryson Neal, the number 1. And again, we talk about this is one of the biggest leads he's had all day. It's about 15 feet.
That's it.
I tell you what, I'm interested. We haven't really seen a ton of lap traffic get involved with these guys, not big groups or anything like that. And there are a few sections on this course where a little bit one line, really one good line to go up. Some of these hills could be detrimental as well. So curious to see here on this last lap whether or not that plays any kind of role. Like you said, with the pace these guys are running, something like that where it throws them off their game. They got to change line just a little bit. That could be all it takes to shake things up here as they get ready to make their way through the pits once again.
Absolutely. And again, full charge, full press. No time for water, no time for drinks. We're going to the finish line. Danny Fowler out there trying to give his son Walker a little bit of water. And Walker, get out of my way, buddy. I got this guy in front of me. I want to get around. Bryson Neal charging hard, but Walker Fowler really looking like he's throwing caution to the wind, nearly tagging. Folks, that wasn't a corner marker. That was a round fence post driven into the ground. Not something you want to make connection with, showing either Walker Fowler just very confident right now, or else he is just throwing caution out the window and said, hey, man, the only way for me to put some pressure on this guy out front is to absolutely send it. Now, we go back a little bit further back on the racetrack. There is the 621 of Wyatt Wilkin sitting in the number 3 spot, and that is not, but that is the number 2 of Hunter Hart, pushing the pace, trying to get to the rear wheels of Wilkin to make this a 2-rider battle over the number 3 spot in the final podium position of the day.
Couldn't tell for sure, but it looked like Wilkin actually might have stretched it back out just a little bit. There for a few moments right before break, it looked like Hart was actually within probably a second or two, but while Wilkin been able to respond, as was Bryson Neal, Fowler was on the charge, like you said, throwing everything to the wind.
Yeah, he's throwing everything. I think both these guys are. At this point, if you're Bryson Neal, there is no advantage to leave anything in the tank. You're going to empty it. You're going to try to break Walker's spirit. And so far, I got to say, man, I'm not only impressed with the pace these guys are running, but the fact that they're putting the gaps that they are and pushing this hard this late in the race just really shows how fit, how determined, and how gritty both of these guys are right now. I mean, this is something we don't talk about a lot on Racer TV. I don't want to undermine the fact that these guys are in great shape. They train absolutely like animals. But, guys, this is still incredibly difficult. They are in pain right now. They're suffering. The human body is not meant to push itself this hard for this long. And the fact that these guys are doing it at heart rates, we've seen many, many years ago, Caleb Russell post his heart rate from GNCC races where he averaged, yes, you're not hearing me wrong, averaged 187 beats per minute over the course of a 3-hour GNCC. I mean, that's something that if you would tell, and I've actually told people that, and they say, no, that's not possible.
Yeah, right.
You're just trying to make this seem harder than it is. Guys, these guys are incredibly fit, and they're just digging at this point.
What is it? I think you can Google, what is the most grueling sport or something like that. I'll figure it out. But the very first image on Google Images is an image of Caleb Russell post-race, face covered in mud. He's drooling, saliva falling from the chin. There's just nothing quite like GNCC, man. It is something else.
Yeah, and you can make it all poetic and talk about the storylines and the history and the pageantry of GNCC, and all those things are true, but at its core, this is absolute Spartans. I mean, these are just warriors out there laying it on the line, and for us to be able to see this action this up close and this personal this late in the race, it's just so cool.
That's it. Well, we know Wyatt Wilkin, he's got his own battle going on right now on the track with Hunter Hart, but he's got a great battle as far as the points are concerned with Josh Merritt, and we actually had a chance to catch up with the 621 of Wyatt Wilkin before today's race.
I've been really, really fortunate this whole year. We've had a lot of mud races, and I've finished them all. So 1 out of the 12 or 13, I'll take. Next couple days, I was pretty beat up, not going to lie. Worked really, really hard to, at least get in that top 3 battle, and then set back. I made up 8 points in 1 round, so how about 11 and 2? We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, he hit it pretty good. We're training partners. We're buddies. We both want to succeed and win. So when we're out there, neither one of us is going to put each other in a spot where we're going to get hurt or something. But we both want to win. And then after the race, we'll shake hands, give a hug, and do our interview. I don't know. It's just been a lot of fun chasing him, learning from him. Just excited to be in that top 3 hunt and hopefully get back up there after this round. Yeah, I don't know about that. Everybody dresses normal around here, so I just kind of mix it up a little bit. Yeah, he's wearing a Fox Racing shirt like everybody else is, so I'm trying to change it up a little bit.
The man's got drip.
Well, he was talking about that points battle he's in with Josh Merritt. You want to build some drama as they run right now?
I saw you doing math.
I was doing some math. So Wyatt Wilkin, 21 points if he's able to hold off Hunter Hart and hang on to that final podium position. Josh Merritt currently running in 9th would be 10 points. 21 minus 10 is what?
11.
And they're separated by?
11.
Meaning that they would be absolutely tied. You want to talk about if you adding drama in, and for those folks at home, we don't talk about this often, but there's big money on the line, bonuses for top 3 in the overall championship, and pride. Neither one of these guys has ever, finished that high up. Each of their first time winning a race this year, to have the opportunity to fight with a good friend of yours over a very prestigious position in the overall championship, it's pretty cool, and it's looking like if things finish as they run now, it's going to be a dead heat heading into our final round in just 2 weeks.
Not mad about it.
Sorry, a lot more than 2 weeks.
A few weeks, yes.
Normally it would be 2 weeks.
Normally, yes.
Not a normal year.
The trees will look a little different in Indiana come the end of October.
It'll be great.
It'll be great. We'll be able to see most likely everything. We get a little wind. I'm not in a hurry for that because that's home, and that means I got to blow leaves in the yard, but whatever. That's okay. Makes for good racing. B. Neal, Walker Fowler, 1 and 2 right now. They are out in front by at least 2 minutes and 20 seconds, at least when they checked in. Waiting on them to approach the finish line area and bring home a win. Who is it going to be? Fowler right now, as we pointed out, just staying on that rear grab bar of Bryson Neal, trying to force him into a mistake. And we'll see. We've seen crazier things happen here in GNCC. Going to be a fun finish to watch, Johnny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been such a great race. These guys, you say that, we haven't really seen any passes.
Yeah.
It's kind of been, honestly, that's the order they started in. They went into the woods. It was Bryson Neal with the whole shot, Walker Fowler there in 3rd. Fowler able to work his way around Jay Shadron in turn number 1, 2, 3, coming into turn number 3. And then from there, that's been the order. But still, it's been, if you understand GNCC and you understand any competition, like Bryson Neal doesn't want to ride around with Walker Fowler behind him. He's trying everything that he possibly can to try to open up a gap, and Walker Fowler has just had an answer for it, and it's just really cool to see these guys, frankly, so evenly matched.
Very much.
Neither one of them able to pull a gap. Fowler not able to put enough pressure on Bryson to get around, and Bryson not able to pull away. These gaps that we've seen in the last few camera shots are, frankly, the biggest gaps of the day.
Yeah.
And they're, 15 feet, 20 feet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they really have been nose to tail all day long.
We've had a few shots. I know, I think it was Zach brought up, hey, we've not really seen them get into lappers too much. Been a couple small situations where they were approaching one. That's something to think about here late. I think these guys are going to be in the clear, though. I think this is just mano-a-mano at this point.
The only thing I could see is that section there between the 8 to the 9, and then right there at the 9 where we have that slick moon rock we talked about.
Oh, yes.
At the, I believe that's the FMF PowerPoint. Sorry, the Monster Mile. My bad. So the Monster Mile there, if there was some lap riders in the mix, there's a couple of option lines there where you can kind of chance it, risk it for the biscuit, if you will.
There we go.
And, try to make a move, and that's what it's going to take. Because right now, just following all the pressure in the world, I just don't see Bryson Neal cracking. This guy, he's so good right now. And he also knows he's playing with house money. 21-point lead. If he can pad that by another 5 here today, 26 points going into the final round in a couple weeks there in Crawfordsville, Indiana, your hometown, and 26 points with 30 available. That's a very comfortable position to be going into. If Walker's able to chip away and get that win today, and it's a 5-point swing, now suddenly that 21 becomes 16, a little more palatable. But I'm just hopeful that we see this championship come down to the final round, which so far, it looks like it's going to, and that's pretty cool when you run a long season like this, and it comes all the way down to the final round. It just brings a little bit of extra excitement.
Yeah, it's been such a, we say it every year, a historical season. This one was just that. I mean, we had Walker Fowler grabbing his win last round, moving up on the all-time wins. We had 2 brand new winners with Wyatt Wilkin and Josh Merritt getting their first career wins. I know it sounds like a cliche. It's not. I mean, I said it earlier, nothing quite like GNCC racing, and man, we get to watch it. Yeah, I wanted to say that earlier. Talon Stout, got to give a huge shout out to him, leading the College A class, sitting 18th in the OA, having the ride that dreams were made of out there.
17th actually now.
Oh, is it?
Well, this is. Oh, my bad. On screen we're showing 17th. Maybe showing 18th. Yeah. We did just see our leaders come by. It was still out front Bryson Neal, and a little bit closer in that shot Walker Fowler, but still Bryson Neal looking very calm, cool, collected. But again, we're coming into that section of racetrack where if there is an opportunity for Walker Fowler to try to push the issue, make a pass, we're down to the final miles now.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's create some chaos. We need some chaos here late.
Well, I don't know if chaos. Chaos is a pretty aggressive word. I was thinking along the lines of let's just see a battle.
All right, that's fair.
I tell you what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a little lapper in the mix coming in at the 9-mile marker, and those guys have to make the decision: do I follow the lapper or do I take the long way around? Who's gonna hedge their bet? Who's gonna go which way? And then coming to the FMF PowerPoint up that hill climb, will they chase each other up, or will they take alternate lines? Somebody makes a mistake, that could be the race right there.
Very true.
And all that happened in between here and the finish.
That's right.
It's been a good one, and it's far from over.
What do you think? I mean, if you're Walker in that situation, and you'll know better than just about any of us, what do you think Walker does? You get to the FMF PowerPoint, does he say, okay, I'm already in second, I may as well risk another line to try and make something happen? I have a 2.5-minute gap back to third.
Yeah, I mean, if Walker Fowler, and here's the other thing, I don't think either of these guys actually inspected the course yesterday, just because of the conditions, the rain, or fully inspected the course. So depending on what sections of racetrack they looked at, do either of these guys have a line tucked in their back pocket where they feel they can make a last lap, last ditch effort, full send, run over a couple trees and try to make a move? If they do, now's not the time to keep that for next time. There is no next time. This is it. This is the last lap. This is the end of the season. Let's get it done.
All right, I like it. All right, stage is set. Now that Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler just got to put on a show for us.
That's right. We're here for it. I got some popcorn.
So Neil, Fowler, Wilkin trying to work on another podium. Oh, and here you go, Johnny.
Yep.
The scenario is playing out in front of you right now.
And they are coming. Like, this is the section they are coming to, and it is blocked up. Now, we did see, folks, right of camera, left as the track looks, there is a line over there, and we saw Jay Shadron able to make it around and come up that way. But this is where these guys want to go, and right now it is blocked up.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, you got 2 riders down here, and it looks like a third back behind them, kind of.
That's actually J.D. Higgins, Mr. Red Bear himself, waiting for his opportunity to make it up the hill. And then we got another 2 riders sitting back there waiting.
Oh, boy.
So this is an old-fashioned bottleneck.
Hey, mud fleas, get to work down there at the Monster Mile. They are going to be calling on you as they come through here. This could get very interesting, as I saw more riders kind of sneaking in back there. Oh, yeah, Johnny. This is playing out in front of us here.
Oh, boy. Now you see a lot of shirts starting to get real excited and real nervous. They're trying to set up that outside line to see if they can get these guys through. But, man, this is – and I got a feeling what's happening. You see these riders looking back. These people are telling them, hey, guys, you got a battle for the lead coming. If you don't want to be in the way. And look, that's just how slick it is. This has become virtually impassable. And we are going to find – look at this. Here it comes.
Here they're coming. The leaders are on their way now. They're telling them, hey, take this outside line, the one Jay Shad took earlier. So can Neil get through clean? Can Walker get through clean?
That is not the leader.
And no, it's not.
And they've got one good line. Don't plug it up.
Oh, boy. All hands on deck right now. There you go. Teamwork makes the dream work, boys. So the 401 able to get through. Now we're getting things sorted out. But look at the line, Johnny. Like, you got Neil's pit down there telling him, hey, leaders are coming.
Oh, my goodness, guys. This is getting good.
And it sounds like Hollywood letting us know side by side coming through the creek section. And, I mean, hey, we're in Rodney Tomlin territory. We'll take one out of the Rodney playbook. We are waiting with bated breath right now for these leaders as they're still pulling ATVs out, Johnny.
This is crazy, guys. Look at all the people coming down to help. They're trying to open up these lines. They're trying to get an opportunity. I have a feeling what they're going to do. Bryson Neal now tries to go through. That is Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal that are tied up together. Walker Fowler, it looks to me, is in front, but that is Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal. They're in a scrum right now to see who gets out of there first. I thought that
Fowler's on his machine.
Fowler is on his machine. They are trying to pull him up. He's stuck. Now Bryson Neal tries to go up. He is stuck as well.
So Fowler's out. Fowler is out and on his way. Fowler now going to try and track down win number 77. Still trying to get Bryson Neal out, and now he's out.
Mikey, when I saw that rider come through with the handguards, I was like, man, that looks like Walker Fowler. But there was no sense of urgency. None of the riders were. It was just crazy. And then I realized when I saw the goggle strap that he actually had made the pass coming into this section and was leading coming in. And Bryson Neal was waiting behind him, each waiting for their opportunity for that line to open up to go for it. And then we saw them side by side, both fighting for the same real estate. Now they're down to the final mile of racing, and this is going to be the tail of the tape, folks.
That was absolute. You know what? It was chaos. I asked for chaos, and we got chaos.
You did.
So I apologize to Bryson Neal for that one. That might have been the announcer curse. But, man, I mean, we were talking about, hey, lappers have not been a factor. You said, hey, that section at the Monster Mile, it just might be one. And sure enough, it was.
You sit through enough of these things and race enough of them, you start to see some things.
Everybody in the comments right now are going, yeah, sure, it's not scripted.
Yeah.
As we just kind of played that out. But
guys,
no,
we saw it last lap coming into this section. Just before the leaders got there, there was that bottleneck, and they were able to get it cleared just in front of them. Keep in mind, as the race gets deeper and these guys get more into lap traffic, that opportunity presents itself more often. There's more lap riders, and it gets tougher and tougher to navigate these sections. It's, did I know it was going to happen? No. Did I know there was an opportunity? Absolutely. We'll wait and we'll watch. We actually should see Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal coming by on the other side. Don't know if we're going to get that camera shot to see if it is still the same order when they come by. We've got some lap riders coming through, and then we'll be waiting on the 621 of Wyatt Wilkin, and that podium battle, that could play out here as well between he and the number 2 of Hunter Hart. I mean, that is another battle that's going to come right down here to this section, looking like it's clear for now, but just a couple lap riders, a couple mistakes, and you have an absolute mess down there.
So we heard Hollywood giving us the report, hey, they're side-by-side coming through the creek. Well, they were side-by-side coming through the Monster Mile, and it was Walker Fowler who was able to get out in front of B. Neal. Is that Wilkin?
That is Wyatt Wilkin.
They're pointing that line to Wyatt Wilkin. Ooh. That was a good move, 621.
Yep, full send. And as we look back, how much of a gap does he have over the number 2 of Hunter Hart? And then we'll wait and we'll watch for that shot from the FMF PowerPoint of our battle for the lead. We do not have Hunter Hart yet. So Wyatt Wilkin putting on the afterburners, able to open up that gap over the number 2, and looking like he's put a little more security into that final podium position here with just 2 miles of racing to go. Now, here comes the number 2 of Hunter Hart, clean through there as well. And this is the, oh goodness gracious, this is the battle for the lead. Walker Fowler seemingly all alone-ish out front. Bryson Neal does not look like he has come out of the woods just yet, but these are some lapped riders. Walker Fowler, you know he's stressing right now. These guys have no idea that the race leader is behind them, and he's trying to make passes and get his way up. He's making his own lines. Oh, man. Is he going to... Oh! Fowler way out and around the outside.
Takes a long way around.
Loses a spot, gets passed back by a lapped rider. Oh. This is really going to get dicey. And Bryson Neal now right to the back of Walker Fowler.
So, yeah, advantage goes to Walker Fowler. Here, the lap traffic not been a factor really all day in this last lap. That has been the storyline. So Fowler has to check up big time.
Man, that was a big time loss and actually got passed by a lapped rider. And this is the battle. Lapped rider in front of Walker Fowler.
Oh, my goodness. There you go. There you go, bud. There you go. Mercy sakes alive.
And there is Bryson Neal just behind that lapped rider. So this is going to be it, folks. We're going to see them pop out into this field. Walker Fowler now leads the way, running for all he's worth. Bryson Neal right behind him there. And this is the final section of woods. And it's too deep and too thick for the drone to see through. We're going to have to wait and see who pops out of the woods first.
You just got to be kidding me. What a crazy last lap. Going to be interesting to hear the perspective of Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal both as the fans now running to that finish line. Who's going to pop out of the woods? Is it going to be the 723 or the number 1 of Bryson Neal? Fowler trying to track down win 77, and Bryson Neal trying to add a few points on that points lead as we head into Ironman at the end of October.
I would not want to be a lapped rider in this section of race.
Nope,
right
not
now.
at all. Nope.
No, white flag. We'll wait, we'll watch. Will it be the big number 1 of Bryson Neal? Will it be the 723 of Walker Fowler? This is it, folks. Walker Fowler takes win number 77 here at the John Penton GNCC with Bryson Neal just behind an absolute battle to the finish.
Mercy sakes alive. What a race that was right there. So, hey, congratulations. Walker Fowler making it happen on the last lap. It came down a side-by-side battle through the creek, side-by-side into the Monster Mile. Walker just able to get out of there quicker.
Man, what a battle. Right down to the wire. Final section of racetrack. There at that Monster Mile, and that was the tail of the tape. They were side by side, almost looking like they were in a rugby scrum with all of the mud fleas and the crew members just pushing and pulling, trying to get those machines unstuck, or not even unstuck, to the point where they could go with all the stuck lapped riders. They received a celebratory hug with Mom. Walker Fowler, 77 wins. Look at this. Hunter Hart has made his way around. Nope, not Wyatt Wilkin. Don't know.
So unless we missed him, is this?
Nope, that is John Glaude Jr.
Okay.
Maybe.
So anticipating Wyatt Wilkin taking that 3 spot, Hunter Hart was close. So unless we missed Wyatt, maybe Hunter Hart in that 3 position.
That is Hunter Hart, but do not know if we have missed Wyatt Wilkin. That is not Wyatt Wilkin. That is the same lapped rider that was behind him in the previous camera shot. And that is definitely, judging by the riding style, looks to be John Glaude Jr. to me. It is. So there's Glotta in what we believe is the 5th place spot, but we did not see Wyatt Wilkins, so we'll have to wait and see who checks in for the final podium position. Will it be the 621 of Wyatt Wilkins? Will it be the 2 of Hunter Hart? And John Glotta Jr. putting on heavy pressure there from either the number 4 or 5 spot, depending on whether or not we miss Wyatt Wilkins. But man, what a race to the finish that was for the win here today between Bryson Neal and Walker Fowler.
You know, to put that last lap in perspective, in the bottleneck, the lap traffic, the previous lap they were running a 27:17. This time around, both Walker Fowler 28:09, and is it Hunter Hart?
Wyatt Wilkins.
Oh, Wyatt Wilkins.
Final podium position. Another solid podium here in 2024 for the 621 of Wyatt Wilkins, redeeming himself after a very disappointing round just 2 weeks ago. You know this is going to be a happy man. Worked very hard to get it today. Looking like in the number 4 spot, likely will be the number 2 of Hunter Hart, coming here to the finish line. And then John Glotta Jr. backing up another good solid ride, 4th 2 weeks ago, and looking like a solid top 5 here today.
Man.
In the number 5 spot. There is Hart, crosses the line in the number 4 spot, and a good ride for him coming through the pack today. Nearly get himself into position for a podium, just not quite able to close the gap on Wyatt Wilkins there in the final lap of racing.
So Hunter Hart with a solid day. I think Hunter, Hunter expects to be on the podiums. He wants podiums, but Hunter, man, I think absolutely great ride for him today, finishing in that 4 spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is John Glotta Jr. He is checked in now in the number 5 spot. You can see trying to make some room to get some machines off the track there. Possibly, was that Josh Merritt?
Let's see. So Hart, Glotta, Brandon Owens,
there you go.
Josh Merritt.
So that is your 6th or 7th place.
Yeah.
So that is, he actually did do enough to stay ahead of Wyatt Wilkins in the overall points going into the final round, was able to make at least 2 passes in the final lap of racing there to get himself up to 7th and very nearly to the rear of Brandon Owens. So another solid ride for Brandon Owens there as well in 6th. Good day for him and that Sturdivant Power Sports team as well.
Yeah, great ride by Owens, waiting on the rest of the pack.
Jared McClure just checked in?
Yes, McClure checks in an 8th place finish, and it sounds like, I believe, Zach Heron standing by with our winner, Walker Fowler.
Walker, what's better than 76?
77.
77, man. You get the job done. You had us all on our toes for that last lap. Back and forth. Lap riders getting in the mix as well. Look at it. He's high-fiving, shaking hands, kissing babies. That's what comes with it, man. Take us through that last mile or two and how you got the job done.
My team. Yeah, right place at the right time. I had a great group of mechanics and friends and spotters and people I ride with, men, women, kids. Man, the Fowler Fanatics rallied together at the absolute best time on one of the nastiest spots on the track. There was just a bunch of lappers stuck, and I saw Bryson do the smart thing, go to the high line, try to get out of the chaos, and I saw one of my guys, and he gave me the I don't know what to tell you, so I just bonsai'd it in there, ping-ponged off a few rocks, couple riders, and I'm like, well, I'm ahead of Bryson, like he's got to wait on me. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm good, and they got this one really nasty line cleared, and I just see a big number 1 plate about land on my handlebars. I'm just like, holy crap, like, he really wants to win this thing, man. So there was nowhere for him to go. I was very stuck, and he ended up having to back off of me, and I had to get out before him, and I knew I had about a 5-second gap, and I was like, all right, ditch the goggles, just because I was so panicked and sweating. I'm like, I just need some air. I need a little bit of time. I know I got a 1.5 miles left. Don't do anything stupid. And on the hill climb, there's 4 lappers, and I go the opposite direction of the hill climb. And I'm like, well, you just threw it away. Bryson must have done something at the bottom of it. He was right behind me, and when I got to the top, he got to the top, and I was still in the lead, and I was just like, oh man, as long as you don't do nothing stupid again, you're good. And I missed the next line that we had made the first lap, and Bryson missed it too. I'm just like, okay, I don't think there's anywhere else we can miss. And it was just hit your marks coming to the finish line, and man, that's definitely one of the better John Pentons I've rode. This is one of the better races I've rode. It was so slippery. There was such a fine line. Bryson found it sooner than me. He started pulling about a 5-second gap. Man, even just that 1 second a lap into the finish line was so hard to make up, but I ended up bridging the gap. There was one lapper on that last lap that allowed me to close the gap, and I could kind of see him, shrug his shoulders, take a breath, and I was like, All right, he's feeling it too. I've been dogging him all day. I just stay here and maybe something will happen. And I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the plan, but the Lord has something, like I said, in motion. It's not about success. It's not about winning. I don't know what it is, but we're going to find out. And I'm just so blessed that I get to be a part of this and all these awesome fans and kids. And just cool to see people excited. And I'm healthy and I'm happy. Obviously, it's easy to be happy when you're winning, but that was an awesome race. I almost feel bad, honestly. He rode such a good race. I tried to pressure him, and he just never cracked.
Hey, it's all part of it, man. I'm sure you've been a part of the other side of it as well. Take us through the lap itself. This whole race, you guys were just a matter of seconds apart. Was fitness coming into play at all? I mean, you guys were laying it all out there. Were you feeling anything from the surgery? I mean, how are you feeling physically, especially? You guys were pretty much as wide open as you could get from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, there were moments that I felt like he was holding me up, and there were moments where it was everything I could do to keep on him, or he was pulling me a couple seconds. We each, maybe every other mile, it would kind of just do this kind of yo-yo effect, but it never got, like I said, that going into the last lap, he finally kind of broke me, and he got just out of sight. And I was like, yeah, you got 1 minute to try to get it so he can see you again, or else I think it's over. And I just rode the absolute wheels off this thing, and I sucked right back up to the bottom of him, and I saw him give a look back, and I was like, okay, I need a break. Like, I'm exhausted. But no, I actually feel really good. Fitness is coming around. I'm back running, 730 miles for almost 5 miles, and I can weight lift a little bit more. I'm doing more than I was able to prior to surgery, and man, at 30, I'll be 32 years old at Ironman, and I'm really starting to feel good. I'm finally kind of growing into my man body a little bit.
Hey, well, you're making it look good right now. You grab another win, a healthy, a happy, and historic win for Walker Fowler, number 77.
Getting it done with the man body there. That's your buddy.
He says some awesome stuff in interviews, but he speaks with his heart. You're going to say there, like, there's a lot. I don't really understand what's going on here. But Walker, those of us watching, we understand what's going on here. You went to the starting line at round number 11,
exactly.
And it made it or 10, and it made a huge difference. And here we are now taking this title down to Ironman, and I believe we are ready with Jackson Burrell and our second place finisher today, Bryson Neal.
Yeah, guys, I'm down here with Bryson Neal. Bryson, man, what a race that was. I'm sure the emotions are high. Take us through everything.
Yeah, man. It just seems like the last 3 races, I just keep gritting my teeth and just keep on hitting things at the wrong time, and things just keep on just breaking, just not for me. For whatever reason, it's just shaking out the way it is, no matter how much I grit my teeth and I'm fighting back. But, man, I got the whole shot, had a superb race, let it, flag to flag. And literally the very last possible place he could have passed me, right down there at the rock garden at the bottom of that rock place in that creek crossing. We hit at the wrong place, the wrong time. We hit the lappers. They was all stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time, all gumbled up. And I got pointed to the right. I went to the right. Walker shot to the middle, and he got in between me and some other lappers and pretty well planted himself right in the main line and got ahead of me. And whenever he got out, I got stuck in the same spot he did, and it was just enough of a gap for him for me not to be able to catch him and make anything, try to attempt another pass or anything. I ran out of time. So I'm definitely bummed on this one, man. This is the hometown. Worked really hard the last months. The races have been fighting me lately, and boy, we're fighting, and we're riding great. But yeah, this one got away from us. This is just how racing goes sometimes. Just sometimes you hit it the wrong place, the wrong time. And yeah, that's why you call it GNCC. There's all kinds of elements, all kinds of things you got to prepare for. And yeah, I'm bummed on this one. I can't lie. I wanted to win really, really bad. And I know I could finish second place every race and win this championship still, but that's not this guy inside. I want to win. I want to fight for wins. I don't want to ride conservative. I don't want to, just lay up and ride back in second place and lollygag and take care of the bike. I want to go for a win, and so he's pushing for it, and we gave it our best effort today, but ultimately we hit it the wrong place, wrong time, and he came out ahead, and hats off to him on another win, and we brought home good points today, got second, and we'll boogie on.
Well, Bryson, it's clear that the fitness is there, it's clear the speed's there. How do you feel going into this final round?
Oh, I feel great. My fitness, my bike, everything's just working phenomenal. Start's been great. Just just more or less just bummed at myself to even put myself to have him, 16 points away after the year I've had so far. The last two races prior to this were my faults, my boo-boos, my doings. Today, I can take this one. This one was kind of just a toss-up whenever just the way it shook out. I raced real hard, raced good, felt great, and put in a good effort. But yeah, man, we love Ironman. The track's fast. Even if it rains, it's all out mudder. The place is so wide that there's all kinds of optional lines, or if it's going to be dry and then good dirt, then it's even better. So we'll just see what shakes out and work hard this next month and come home and try to finish this championship off.
All right, guys, he's fired up. We'll see the Bidwell Bullet at Ironman.
Very cool to see, Bryson Neal, a lot of confidence, and rightly so. Like he said, the season he's been so dominant all season long. Definitely no reason to hit the panic button right now. I mean, he had this one right where he wanted it, right up until, the final miles, and then, hey, that's GNCC racing. Yeah. There's lappers, and, just taking that outside as he put it. Taking the safe line, Walker Fowler, nothing to lose, sends it in there, and I think we're in for a great battle at Ironman here coming up in about a month.
Cannot wait to watch. Sounds like we are ready. I believe Zach Herron down there with Wyatt Wilkin. Jackson, take it away.
Yeah, we're down here with Wyatt Wilkin. Wyatt, man, you fought your way up into that third place position. Take us through your day.
Oh, man, it was a wild one. Coming into the weekend, we all planned on it to be a complete mutter, and I was hoping for it, but it dried up so fast. Got off to the start, just not a good start. I think I was probably 10th, 11th. Not where I wanted to start, because this is where I wanted to be, was up on the podium, and rode in that position like pretty much the whole first lap, and got comfortable and started clicking them one by one. End up getting to third on the third lap. Adam McGill was in third. He had some issues. That sucks to see that, but that's racing. Got by him pretty easy with the bike messing up, and just ran. Last lap, I had Hunter Hart right behind me, and anybody knows Hunter, he's a dog, so I didn't want him on me. Ran to the end and finished up third. I'll take it, a home state. All my friends and family, good day.
You got some valuable points today. How you feel going into Ironman, and what would it mean to you to get that third place in the championship?
Oh, gosh. I've been working my butt off for that top three. Halfway through the year, I was like, you know what, top 5, that'd be sick. And then I went to 4th, and then I went to 3rd, and I was like, all right, we got this. Last race was a setback. I'm not going to lie, had me down for a couple days. But you got to take them when you can, and I made up 8 points in one round. I'm going to make up 11 in 2. We'll see how we got it.
You got it done here today. That is Wyatt Wilkin, your third place.
Well, there you go, Mikey. Wyatt Wilkin talking about what a good day he had and a great ride indeed. Charging up from the back of the pack all the way up to that number 3 final podium position and bringing it down to a showdown between he and Josh Merritt for the third place in the championship going into the final round of racing in just a month's time.
Yeah, cannot wait to watch those two duke it out in a few weeks at the Ironman. Watching our specialized race recap. That was Bryson Neal with the red-hot start. Great start by Jay Shad as well, sitting in that 2 position. And then a battle with Walker Fowler that Fowler would eventually get Jay Shad on and move into that 2 spot for much of the race.
Little early race here at the 9-mile marker. We saw a little bit of carnage, maybe a little precursor to what was coming later in the race. But, man, so much of this action here today throughout the 2 hours. Bryson Neal leading the way, Walker Fowler just shadowing him. Right there, right behind him, matching his every move. And what a race this was to watch for both spectators, fans at home, and here at the racetrack.
Yeah, watching those two through the FMF PowerPoint. Johnny, at one point at this race, look at that, dang near side by side coming through there. Just Bryson Neal not relinquishing that lead. And again, at one point, Johnny, we've seen it in the past where a leader will be up maybe by a minute and a half. These guys, the two of them, 2 minutes and 20 seconds up on third place at one point during this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's they were just putting down a pace. Can't say enough about Adam McGill, though, as well. The Gator had a great ride going, and then his machine ultimately giving up on him and coming here on lap number 3. Wyatt Wilkin able to take away that third place position. McGill having to work on that machine and try and get it going again on the trail side. We saw him having some struggles in the pits as well.
He did finish. I can say he has crossed the finish line, 4 laps completed. So Adam McGill's been pretty adamant this season. Man, I've never had a full season where I finished every race. Adam, you got another one down, 1 to go at Ironman.
But the battle up front raged on. damn what was behind them. They didn't care. They were just going for it. Only focused on each other. Bryson Neal saying, he was prepared to lead this one flag to flag and looked on his way to do just that. Again, here, this penultimate section just before the finish line, where everything kind of changed, and you could see it was really playing itself out throughout the race. So slick. You can see Walker getting on the brakes, almost getting into the back of Bryson Neal, but that just shows how close they were all day long.
Yeah, like bumper cars through that section right there, the Monster Mile, and this was just honestly the story of the race. It was, and I mean, you could flip this almost. We talked about it during the broadcast. If Neal was in the 2 spot, he'd be applying the pressure, trying to force Walker into a mistake. Well, Walker got that advantage here of trying to push Bryson into a mistake, and they even said it in the post-race. Neither one could really make them do that. They were not messing up. It took that last section we'll see here in a little bit for something to happen between them. But
and there you heard it. Wyatt Wilkin now up into a podium position, pushing, but heat behind him in the form of the number 2 of Hunter Hart just behind this lap rider here. And you can see he was absolutely pushing, wanting to get himself on the podium. Only 2 podiums so far in 2024 for Hunter Hart. Really wanting to get up there and get in the mix and pushing hard. Great ride for him today. This was the moment. Walker Fowler able to take that inside line and get up into the main line, get himself stuck, but Bryson Neal having to back up and try to get grip. And you can see, mud fleas on both sides just pushing and pulling and prodding, trying to get these machines up this slick section of rock. Finally, all of the spectators, all the mud fleas able to get Walker Fowler, and then Bryson Neal having the exact same situation, getting stuck. Everybody jumping in to help him, and they get going, and this was the final dash to the finish line from here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just maybe my fault a little bit. Put it in the universe, wanting some chaos. We got it.
And then there was a little more chaos.
And then there was, yes.
Walker Fowler kind of hitting the panic button a little bit. Had some lap riders in front of him, thinking he could go around, and picked an absolutely terrible line. And you can see now Walker's got 3 lap riders in front of him, and boom, here comes the Bidwell bullet up to the top, right to his rear wheels. But Walker Fowler able to hold him off, crossing the finish line first for his 77th GNCC overall win, adding one more to the tally. The all-time wins leader in all GNCC racing. Not just ATV.
Right.
Everything.
My question is, do we have 77 hats this weekend? No? We can do one for every win after this?
I mean, if you'd asked me that a couple weeks ago, I might have said it would be possible. But at the rate he's winning right now, we can't be printing 500 hats every weekend.
That's fair. All right. Well, we're taking a look at those top 10 results. Fowler, Neal, Wilkin, 1, 2, and 3. Great ride by Hunter Hart. I think the body language by Hunter at the end, he wanted a podium today, but Hunter, I think today was absolutely solid. John Glotta rounds out your top 5. Brandon Owens, great ride by him today.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon Owens has been solid the last couple of rounds out of Walker, West Virginia. Again, we've given a lot of props to that Sturdivant Power Sports team that's been helping him out, and he's really becoming a mix at the front of the XC1 class.
Time is ticking. Maybe he gets a podium to close out the year, but great ride by him. Josh Merritt was 7th out there today. Johnny, a crazy race day again. What are your final thoughts for the John Penton?
Man, my final thoughts on this one, chaos. What looked to be... You threw it out there in the universe.
Sorry.
What looked to be... I mean, it was a great battle all day long between Walker Fowler and Bryson Neal. I mean, just nose to tail all day long. But I'll be honest with you, I kind of knew we were going to need some kind of an outside influence in this one. They were just so evenly matched, and we got it at the end. Actually, I'm going to change. Great racing. That's my takeaway. Absolutely great racing. A lot of guys just had really on rails today and looked great out there.
I'm going to say thankful for racing, because driving here yesterday, I told my wife several times on that drive, I don't know that we're going to race this weekend if this keeps up. Obviously, the rain held out for the most part today. We got to race, and thank God we did, because the conditions were absolutely prime, especially going into that pro race. And I'm so excited to see how this one plays out. Johnny, we said it, 3 or 4 rounds ago? Man, we can pretty much wrap a bow on this one. No, we cannot. Anything can happen. This is GNCC. Here we are again. Bryson Neal, still a comfortable gap, but it is a little smaller yet again as we head into Ironman.
16 points heading into the final round of racing with 35-point swing in the last 3 rounds.
It's nuts.
So you start doing math, and anything can happen in this final round. I'm looking forward to it. Let's just hit the fast-forward button.
Let's do it.
Jump over this little month off and head right to Ironman.
Cannot wait. Well, that is going to wrap things up for us here today. Don't forget to tune in. We'll be back tomorrow, obviously, with the Pro Bike Race. We're going to highlight some stories about John Penton as well, and I think we got some family out here with us this weekend, too. We got Ironman GNCC, as we spoke about, coming up the 26th and 27th of October. And don't forget to tune into those highlight episodes airing on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. On behalf of Jackson Burrell, Zach Herron, Johnny Gallagher, our camera operators, JC, Matt, Josh, Mike, Leah, Kirsten, Jack, and Chance, our drone pilot, Gabe Scholl, manager, Dan Reinhardt, engineer in charge, Jordan McFadden, our director, Don Hampton, producer, Adam Gordon, and our executive producer, Carrie Jo Russell, I'm Mikey Waynes. We'll see you at the races.